we move forward, so does the rest of the economy. CSX trains are the most cost-efficient way to move goods to market. CSX, how tomorrow moves.
We want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand.
And now it's time for the voice.
Don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
I want you to get up right now.
Go to the window,
Open it.
stick your head out and yell,
Hated by top of the world.
The voice of Ocala with Buddy Martin.
You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality. I know your anger, I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm the cult of personality.
Hello, welcome to a Friday edition of The Voice of Ocala. We're at the Gateway Bank, which means this is Community Gazette Day. Glad to have you aboard today on the program. Hope you're getting ready for a nice, toasty weekend. It's getting hot out there, folks. Summer is coming, and hope you'll be careful this weekend when you're out and about. Watch out for that sunshine. Get that sunblock on. Stay cool.
It's definitely hot out there.
It is. Buddy Martin along with Tom Schmitz, also known as the social media guru. I heard him this morning espousing the values of Twitter with Robin and Larry. So Tom Schmitz has come a long way. He's actually tutoring people on Twitter, which I think is great. Also, this is good news for you guys. And Tom, by the way, where are the donuts?
I've already had mine today, thank you.
Okay. This is actually National Chocolate Ice Cream Day and National Donut Day.
Right, and do you know, one of the good things is Entman's, if you go to their Facebook page and like their Facebook page, Entman's is given $1 to the Salvation Army for every Facebook page like they get today.
That's a good thing, but it didn't help my donut appetite at all. So I figured, I thought sure when I got here to the Gateway Bank I'd see like a dozen glazed right
No,
here.
they're over at the radio studio. I've already been into some of the donuts at the radio studio.
Okay, I figured you had. Saw a good friend of yours today, by the way, my downtown stroll.
I don't have good friends.
Well, that's what he said, too, by the way. But Adam, he looked great, 50 pounds he's
How
lost.
about him? He's lost 50 pounds.
It looks like he's 10 years younger, too, so he looks good. Today, I did my downtown walking tour today. After Tom and I finished coffee, I did my downtown walking tour, tell you about that, some of the people I talked to, some of the things I saw, and just kind of catching up, because, we used to be downtown even a lot more than we are now. We broadcast several restaurants downtown in several locations, the Marion Theater, and a little walking tour this morning, checking things out. Took a little street poll, talked to my boys at Starbucks, got a little input there on some things, what's going on, getting a reaction to something called invasion of privacy, which I just can't believe. We'll get into that in detail here these next couple of hours, but also coming up at 3:30, former mayor and Councilman Gerald Urgel stops by to visit. Gerald hadn't been by here in a while.
No, he hadn't.
We had him on the phone a couple of weeks ago talking to him from up in Carolina, but he is going to be with us. We're going to cover a lot of things, including leadership. What does it take to get things done? And what would you say if I said, what I want from my elected officials is them to tell me what needs to be done, not to tell me, well, let's let the voters decide. I think it's all well and good to have consensus and to have referendums when you need them. But what I want from my leaders are tell me why we need to go this way so I can follow you. So we'll discuss that with Gerald, along with other things coming up today. And then, a good thing to do is walking naturally, which I don't do enough of lately. I used to do every other day or so. Gotten a little lazy the last couple of weeks because of the weather. But there's a whole new place to walk now, and it's not brand new because they've been doing this for a while, but now it's been on the front page of the local newspaper again. And pretty soon, we're going to be covered up in them because we're going to be out there ourselves, although we'll be there later in the day.
So it'll be perfect for me because that's where I'll start doing my workouts now once we do it.
Here's the only problem. We have to walk by the food court, so that's not good.
Well, I'll just cut that out. So.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about mall walking, something that's really popular nationally. I know when I was in Denver, there's a lot of that going on out there, it's certainly a good place to go when it's hot outside and an open space, and the mall is being opened up early every morning for people to do mall walking. And Steve Sayers, who's the manager of the mall, Paddock Mall, will be here, and we'll talk about that, about this new program that's going on out there with mall opening up 8 o'clock on Monday through Saturday and 11 o'clock on Sunday. So we'll talk to Steve about the mall walking. Of course, we have the sports hour, lots to talk about. I'm going to just say it right now. I thought the game was terrific. I enjoyed it very much. I'm not surprised that San Antonio won once I realized they weren't going to be worn out, and they weren't going to be actually so rusty from being off so long, 10 days. But what I saw, I'm talking about TV. Television, in terms of the TV production overall, leading up to the game and halfway through the first half, I thought the production was horrible. And I mean not just bad, horrible. I'll tell you why, and I'm sick and tired of this in sporting events, by the way, and I wish the league would look into it and realize we don't care about what the PA announcer says to his hometown crowd. We just don't care. Let's get the basketball game going. And I sure don't need 11 minutes for introductions of 5 players, okay?
Well, and you got an Emmy for, TV production and everything, so you may be the be-all, end-all on this.
I don't think I'm the be-all, end-all on anything, especially this. But I have an opinion like everybody else, and so I have a radio program and a microphone, so I'm going to tell you what I think about it. So we'll do that, and, of course, we'll talk to our friend Joe Williams today, get his take on things in terms of what he saw last night, and, of course, it's time for the High School Athletic Spotlight with Josh Salva today, who does a fine job for us as well. So all that coming up on the program during this next 3 hours. Glad to be with you today. So I saw Gerald Ergel walk in a little bit early. I didn't see him burying any donuts on National Donut Day.
It is National Donut. You'd think he'd bring some donuts on National Donut.
Well, then he's got him head down in the car. It could very well be. So, and I want to say, just tease this now. Coming up here, and I guess it's a week. Maybe Sean's back there someplace. I think it's the 17th or something. We have an author on. Her name is Anton DeStefani. She's local. Her father is a doctor here in town. She lives in St. Louis. She's written a book, which I understand is kind of a romantic novel, which has gotten really good play and a review in the New York Times. And it's called, if I say this right, the Yana Hosi Writing Camp for Girls. Getting really good reviews. She'll be in town. She's doing a book signing downtown at Shannon Roth Collection, and she'll be on the program with us. I think Sean looked that date up.
I got it right here.
Is it Monday or a week from Monday? I believe it's a week from Monday, isn't it?
Anton, I can't say her name, but
Anton DeStefani.
She'll be here June 17th at 4:15.
That's a Monday, week from Monday?
Week from Monday at 4:15.
And the next night's when she does the signing. So that's good. Glad to hear always from local authors. And by the way, if you are a local author and you have a publication of any kind that, something you just didn't print on, write it longhand yourself. If you've been published and you've done some books, I'd always love to hear from you. You can always email me. I consider myself one of you. Just send me an email at buddy@woca.com, and if we can get together, I'll be glad to try to publicize your book.
Well, then I'll send you a email because I'm published, so you can have me on for an interview.
Like I said, if any authors are out there legitimate, give me a call, and I'll make sure that we get a little information. Well, the whole thing now, after we talked yesterday about the Verizon customers being, being spied on. Little did we know that was the tip of the iceberg. And yesterday when I left here and got home, the 6 o'clock news, boom, it hit. It wasn't just the Verizon customers. It wasn't just the cell phone companies. It's email and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah. That Big Brother is looking at us. Now, I know what you're going to say. We got to do anything we can to prevent terrorism, and I'd almost go along with you. I say almost. The question becomes, you have to ask yourself this question, and I'll even take a phone call if you got one on the other side, if you want to call it. Someone asked me that. You taking phone calls on that? I said, well, probably not, because it's kind of hard to hear here today on the bank sometimes on the phone. But I'm just going to say to you, do you draw a line in the sand at some point in terms of what the government can know about you? We're not talking about the Nixon White House here. We're talking about the Obama White House, which is allowing this to happen. And I heard his explanation today. I heard him say that, look, I'm going to be a private citizen myself in 3.5 years. And what you know, somebody's going to want to tap into my email and spy on me and, whatever. And I get all that. Fact is, what happened at Watergate, and I was around, by the way, and I saw it all happen, is that the inmates were running the asylum, and the people who worked for the president, and he allowed them to, got totally out of control. But you know the story. I have to tell you the lesson. For those who don't know about Watergate, still the fact is a third-rate burglary resulted in an impeachment. So you got to be responsible for what's going on your watch.
Well, a resignation.
Well, it was a impeachment process started. So
they were going to have.
He was going to be. Right, he was going to be.
He was going to be impeached.
And
actually
he
resigned first.
Actually, after you go back and look at your history, because he was pardoned by
Gerald Ford, and it cost Gerald Ford the election against Jimmy Carter.
He was definitely not resigned, because you cannot. Of a resignation, you can't be pardoned.
No,
so there was an impeachment.
The impeachment process happened after he resigned.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
He wasn't impeached. He resigned, and then they went ahead with the process.
But the bottom line was he was impeached.
He was a crook.
Okay? and you can call it what you want to, resign, impeach, whatever. The fact remains is that Obama has got to go back and look at his history books and realize, like my grandma used to say, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
I heard the most tired.
You didn't like that? You didn't like that? Good for the good goose. You've heard that from your grandma.
I've heard the most tired argument, though. Someone today said, look, what are you worried about? If you're not doing anything wrong, why do you care somebody's looking at your stuff? Yeah. And that is the most asinine argument I've ever heard of.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that, and I'll tell you about my little straw poll downtown today, and tell you what some of the boys said down there. All that coming up next with my donut factoids. It's National Donut Day. Where are the donuts? We don't have them. We're here. Come on down and visit us at the Gateway Bank and bring some donuts. Gerald Ergel's here. He didn't bring any.
Gerald Ergel brought no donuts.
He doesn't bring them. So we will take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk with, looks like Mr. Ergel's already here early, so we'll just get him on and see what he's got to say. He says no. He says yes. Maybe. We'll find out next, right here in the Voice of Ocala.
Community Gazette Day at Gateway Bank on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
Since 1976, Daniel L. Hightower, a lawyer, has been fighting for accident victim justice in North Central Florida and statewide. He believes everyone in America should follow the rules, including the insurance companies. He and his firm have experience fighting for victims of personal injury, wrongful death, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability, as well as serving those in need of help with bankruptcy, simple wills, and estate plans. The mission at the law offices of Daniel L. Hightower, PA, is to represent deserving clients and recover the maximum benefits they are entitled to by law in a timely manner. In personal injury and workers' compensation cases, there are no fees or costs unless a recovery is made. The law office of Daniel L. Hightower is located at 7 East Silver Springs Boulevard, Suite 300. For your free consultation, call 352-629-7777 or 1-888-LAW-1976 and visit danhightower.com for more information. Daniel L. Hightower, PA lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice, and the proud sponsor of Ask the Cops.
This reprise of Ask the Cops is proudly brought to you by Daniel L. Hightower, PA lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice since 1976.
A couple weeks ago, I was involved in a minor car accident, and they said they were going to send out highway patrol. And I was wondering if this was like the new philosophy of the Sheriff's Department to keep the boots on the ground and keep our sheriffs out there trying to solve these crimes rather than these minor traffic accidents.
Yes, ma'am, I totally agree with that. We don't investigate accidents, vehicle accidents in the county, so now we will respond if there's a traffic situation where we need someone there to take care of traffic until Florida Highway Patrol can respond. But we don't investigate traffic accidents, so and if it's not serious in nature, then we probably just have the cars pull off to the side, and then you would wait for Florida Highway Patrol to show up to work the case.
1370 WOCA.
I'm heading down to Daytona, where it all begins.
Hear that? You could be going down to Daytona for the hottest races this summer.
Where the track is really fast.
the Firecracker 250 on Friday, July 5th, and the Coke Zero 400 Saturday, July 6th.
Start the season even.
And all you have to do is register for your chance to win at the following locations. Baseline Auto Sales, 2501 Southeast 58th Avenue on Baseline Road. Brick City Health and Fitness in the Pine Plaza on South Pine. And at the home games for the Ocala Stampede played at Trinity Catholic. Each sponsor will have 2 tickets for each race, and the drawings will be held Friday, June 28th. There's no obligation to enter, so you don't need to be present to win. And enter as often as you'd like. You're always a winner with WOCA The Source, and you could be.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala home store on Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give them a call and they'll come and pick it up. For more information, visit habitatocala.org. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County, building homes, building hope, building community.
Hey, I didn't know it rained last night.
Oh, it didn't. Why do you say that?
Because little Johnny's in the backyard playing in that big mud puddle.
Did you leave the hose on?
No, the neighbor borrowed it yesterday.
Wait, is that the side where the septic...
Johnny, get out of there!
Having septic problems? At Mike Scott Plumbing, we can make those septic worries disappear. We can pump your septic tank, repair your drain field, and, if needed, even install a whole new system. At Mike Scott Plumbing, we don't take crap from anyone. We take it from everyone. 237-2888. Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
This is Tom Smith live at Gateway Bank with this news update brought to you by Gateway Bank. Area clergy presiding over the funeral of 2 friends who were gunned down outside an Ocala bar Sunday morning called for healing and encouraged mourners to trust in God. Reverend Darren Gaddis, senior pastor at First Baptist Church of Ocala, said the deaths of Josue Santiago and Jerry Bynes Jr. created an impact to our community. He asked the audience to remain strong and trust in God. About 1,000 people, mostly young adults, filled the First Baptist Church of Ocala on Thursday morning for the funeral. This news break was brought to you by Gateway Bank, your new old-fashioned bank. Join Buddy today and every Friday for Community Gazette Day at Gateway Bank.
Play the blues.
Welcome back to the program. Talking about the shooting, I was downtown this morning. I had not been over to the site there for the AJs. I just wanted to see what it looked like, and walked over there on the square, on the north side of the square, and it looked like nothing had taken place. And I looked at it and thought, this is going to be a very famous spot now, unfortunately, in our downtown, and a blight on our community, as we all know, which everybody's upset about. And
you said it was just like the steakhouse in New York City where Paul Castellano got cut down.
I said it's a similar feeling. When I stood out in front of Sparks, and I thought about Castellano and the gun, whatever. You never pass that spot without you won't think about those 3 people who died, and then you ask the question, why? And, of course, we don't have the answer to that, and we're all stuck on that. And I'm sure the services, Reverend Gaddis, we know him over at First Baptist Church and the folks over there. I'm sure that was the question. A lot of the 1,000 people ask themselves, why? Why it has to happen. I don't have any idea other than just like you do. I'm left grasping, groping for answers and what have you. But it certainly is sad, and it's going to be sad for a long time. And there's nobody to blame. I mean, except the person who pulled the trigger. That's the person you blame. And then you wonder what happened in the background. We hear stories about it. Tom has done a lot of reporting on the story about the background, what caused it, and all that whole story is it's really haunting is what it is. And I took a walk around the square today, and I was just looking around and looking at the construction going on in the square downtown, which is going to be like, as Mayor Ergel says, the citizen circle downtown the square eventually, and there's got chain link fences up there. And I walked around, saw a few people, and walked in and saw Shannon Roth, our good friend there, Shannon Roth Collection. And we were talking about what went on there and the fence there and how that's a little bit aggravating to the people who have businesses, but she knows it's progress and eventually will be great. We talked about the shooting downtown and what happened, how sad it was. And I walked on around a little bit and went down and talked to Bill Davis down at Grinders, and everybody has the same thing. How are you going to stop it? What are you going to do? There were 2 policemen within a block of the thing. And, you couldn't, there's no way that you could stop and say, first of all, you can't stop anything that fast. Why the young man pulled the trigger, what happened, who knows? We'll maybe never know that. But it is a sad thing. It is a blight on our city. I can't help but have a heavy heart, like everybody else, when I walk down there and look at that spot and think about what took place on that Sunday morning there just before 1 o'clock in the morning that day, when we'll all remember it's a day in infamy for us. Speaking of which, he's a former law enforcement officer himself at one time, back in his youth. He also was a former mayor and city councilman. And this morning, we had a little roundtable with our friends down at Starbucks today, just chatting about a variety of topics. And every now and then, it's a good thing to go and talk to the people and find out what they're thinking. Oh, this group I'm not too sure about. But let me characterize it like this. If I were saying what this conversation was about, it would be with three people, acquaintances, friends. We talked about the subject of privacy. We talked about the subject of the government spying on you. And I think I'd probably describe this as three people who would be moderate to conservative. Probably more toward conservative, but in that area. And people that, probably didn't vote for Obama. But just in general, and I asked the question of all of them about what could be done. Are you okay with the government looking at your phone records? And I asked a yes and no answer. And we got 2.5 no's. One person didn't want to give a yes and no answer. Of course, he's a lawyer. But ultimately, we got 3 no's. They're not okay with it. And one of those 3 was Gerald Ergel. And so, first of all, Gerald, good to have you back on the show. And
Thank
secondly,
you.
Did I accurately describe that conversation?
You did. Okay. You did. Absolutely. Yes.
And you were one of the 3. So
I was one of the 3. And and being an old law enforcement officer, probable cause means an awful lot to me. And I just think that it's wrong for people to try and pry into your personal affairs, your business, your phone records, or whatever, unless there's probable cause to think that you have done something that is going to harm someone or be of danger to someone or the national security or whatever. I just think you need probable cause before you enter into that.
And the scary part about it is when you throw the national security cloak on it, that means it's like classified information. You can classify anything you want to. Although the FBI ultimately has to declassify some of it and redact it.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact remains is that we want that security. We want our government to be on top of terrorism. We'll take a little bit of invasion if that's necessary to help us be safe. Okay, but we don't want to be spied on. And I think that this is how we're feeling. And if you just take, and I'm not going to speak for everybody else, but let me just say that's one thing. We got the issue now of the IRS situation going on, thinking of all the people who, you don't want probing into your backgrounds as IRS. We found out they were looking at journalist records, phone records, or whatever. This evidently was all part of the same thing. We didn't know it at the time. Now we got the drone issue coming into play. And I read today that there's a place in Colorado, I'll talk about it later, out in Colorado, that they use drones more than any county in the United States of America. They plan to keep using them. I don't know that I want a little aircraft hovering in my backyard with cameras in my house, Gerald.
Right.
So I'm wondering how far this is going to go before somebody stops and says, this is not right. We got to change something. And one person today even said, let's get rid of the entire Congress. So that's one answer. So
is there a place we can check on that one?
So anyway, America's frustrated. So I don't know. How are you hearing? Are you hearing about this? You're hearing, talking to people. What's your reaction to?
Most of the people are like the guys you were talking to this morning.
Mm-hmm.
We have given up a lot of freedoms
mm-hmm.
In the name of national security over
mm-hmm.
the last number of years, and I think we're probably getting to the point that many people are going to say, hey, we have to draw the line, or you coming into my house, and. In fact, they're into our house already with internet and all of that kind of stuff. So, but there, I think somewhere we have to draw a line, and I think we're fast approaching that point with the activities that we've heard about in the last 2 and 3 and 4 weeks. I think that the American people are beginning to get to that point.
We've been friends a long time. Mm-hmm. I know you pretty well. I know you well enough to know you got really nothing to hide. And I know your character is above reproach, and I know that there was never any issue about people about turning over your phone records or whatever, if that was what it took. And you were a public official. Mm-hmm. You had to disclose your finances, right? So you've been there, done
absolutely.
that. So by the same token, though, don't you feel a little infringed on that they're going above and beyond that? If you knew they were looking at your email, even though you got nothing to be ashamed of in there, would you be upset?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But the other side of that coin is if they came to me and said, Gerald, we think maybe you've been getting some emails from people that are questionable, and, we would like to see if you have.
I
would open it up,
sure.
And they're welcome to do it.
Sure, and the problem with that is that we have no control over who sends us an email.
Well, that's exactly right. In fact, I delete dozens and dozens of emails every day that I don't even look at. I don't know where they came from.
Gerald, let me ask you this. What do you say to the person that says, but if you got nothing to hide and you haven't done anything wrong, what's the problem with it?
Well, and that's a philosophy, certainly, but, and I think that I think most of us have gone along with that philosophy ever since 9/11. They need to do this, and I think that we're fast with the events of the last few weeks. I think we're getting to the point that we're beginning to say, whoa, guys, you're going too far,
And that was exactly what a lot of the protesters said at that time. Yeah. As good as the Patriot Act was, and everybody voted for it pretty much.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing people said, whoa, wait a minute, how far are we willing to go to disclose this? What was okay then is not okay now, apparently. So it's disconcerting, and I think it might be a big political hot potato coming up the next year or so.
I think you're right. But, Buddy, and of course, as you've said on here, I've been an elected official, was an elected official for a long time. And sometimes you criticize people for changing their mind. But, we could be presented information on Tuesday night at the council meeting, and you make a decision, and 2 weeks later, that information changed. So, therefore, that warrants a different decision, another thought process. And I think that's where we are.
This is not a good example. Let's just say that someone the man who pulled the trigger on the kids had sent Tom an email a night before, and certainly I can understand that as probable cause. Is it connected? What happened? What did he say? Was there some clues that was coming? I get that. I don't know how much our local government is doing what. I know we're using drones here in Marion County because the sheriff has said so. Because the chief has said so. On our show here. So, and I think drones in many things were a good thing in the war. Better drones than dead bodies, than people getting shot and killed.
Absolutely.
But I wonder again, is it too much of a good thing? You got a page full of notes here. What do you want to talk about? You want to take a break and come back and talk about it?
That sounds good.
Because I want to talk to you about leadership. We had an interesting discussion today. What is leadership? Gerald has a philosophy about that. I kind of agree with him. I'll tell you about it next right here on the Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And so is State Farm agent Angie Lewis, working hard to serve her community as a citizen and insurance agent. Angie wants to help you as you adjust your insurance needs to your life. From everything to helping educate your teen driver to protecting your family against everyday risk. She wants to change the way you perceive insurance by developing relationships with her clients, which is why Angie and her staff are proud to be a part of so many good causes in Ocala. In turn, she has chosen to single out those who step up as leaders. Each month on the Voice of Ocala, Angie spotlights a good neighbor, saluting those who give exceptional service or do random acts of kindness to others. For this, Angie was written up in State Farm's national magazine. Angie also supports local businesses with a regular Biz Buzz. The Angie Lewis State Farm Agency is located at 1122 Northeast 36th Avenue, where visitors are always welcome and the coffee pot is always on. Call your good neighbor's State Farm agent today, Angie Lewis, at 294-2444.
Having the motivation and making the commitment to quit smoking is a great first step towards becoming smoke-free. However, anyone who's tried to quit smoking knows how challenging it can be. Having the determination to quit may not be enough. You may need some help. If you're ready to quit smoking and are between the ages of 18 and 75, currently smoke 10 or more cigarettes a day, and can commit to participating for 24 weeks, you may be interested in a research study which is being conducted to evaluate the use of investigational drugs to see if they can aid individuals in their quest to quit smoking. To help you quit, smoking cessation counseling and all study safety-related medical care will be provided at no extra cost. You may also be reimbursed for your travel time. To receive more information about this study, how you can participate, please call Rinstar Medical Research in Ocala at 352-629-5800. That's Rinstar Medical Research in Ocala, 352-629-5800.
On Mondays, AM Ocala Live, Robin and I will be speaking to Lisa Jones. She's a contributor to Smithsonian Magazine. Her new book is called Broken, It's a Love Story. And then Open for a Debate, where I'll bring a topic to the show and we will debate it. Kirk Mitchell is coming on next. He's a feature crime reporter for the Denver Post, whose work has led to the captures and convictions of child molesters and killers in the United States and in Mexico. He's an award-winning journalist, and his new book is called The Spin Doctor. And then Ted Stewart will be with us. He was appointed as a United States District Court judge in 1999 by President Bill Clinton. His book is called The Mark of a Giant, 7 People Who Changed the World. And then it's Auto Repair with Personal Care with your host, Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Automotive. And then Margie Howard will be with us. She's a sociologist, an author, and a resident of The Villages. She's coming on to speak about her book, Love Letters from a Doughboy, a World War I love story. All of that plus fun with Joe on Mondays, AM Ocala Live, right here on The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM, 1370 AM.
If you want to avoid getting ripped off and put more money in your pocket, then join me, Clark Howard, every weeknight at 6, right here on WOCA, The Source.
Call me crazy. Some people say insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. I think insanity is 1,000 single-sided, full-color business cards for $15, or packing service for 50% off. Call me crazy. Regency Printing on the corner of Northeast 25th Avenue and 24th Street, 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Look for the yellow signs.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
Hello? Can you hear me? Because if you can, then so can your customers. Radio works. Call today to advertise your business right here on WOCA 1370, The Source.
WOCA.
This is Tom Schmitz live from Gateway Bank with this news break, brought to you by the Angie Lewis State Farm Agency. About 500 people lined Silver Springs Boulevard near the downtown square on Wednesday afternoon to protest the layoffs of 261 educators and support personnel. The protest was organized by the grassroots group Save Ocala Schools. It featured the district's past 2 Golden Apple winners, students, parents, and educators. The school system is Marion County's largest employer. Superintendent of Schools George Thomas said the district is facing a $29 million deficit, forcing him to lay off 261 employees. All 160 first-year teachers, 72 teachers' aides, 13 physical education technicians, and 16 middle and high school clerks. This news break was brought to you by the Angie Lewis State Farm Agency. Join Angie every week as she joins Buddy for her Biz Buzz or Good Neighbor Award.
All right, welcome back to the program on Community Gazette Day. Before we go back to Gerald, turns out that they've arrested somebody in connection of the ricin lace letters to President Obama and New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Somebody whose name you might not know, but your face might be familiar to you if you've seen the TV shows The Walking Dead and Vampire Diaries, which I have not. Her name is Shannon Rogers Guest Richardson. That's a long name. Shannon Rogers Guest Richardson. She lives in New Boston, Texas. Arrested in Arkansas, charges filed this afternoon that she had sent the letters, try to blame her husband, an Army veteran. It's going to get good, isn't it, before it's over? Can you imagine that?
She mailed him hoping that then she called the FBI herself and told them about the letters, and that she thought her husband was trying to poison her with ricin, and it was all an attempt to frame him so that she could get a divorce after he got convicted. Allegedly, that's why she did it.
She's also gone on E and said she didn't do it, of course. Meanwhile, we're live at the Community Gazette Day in the bank here at Gateway. It's national. It's also National Chocolate Ice Cream Day, by the way. National Donut Day. So far we're donutless
and ice creamless,
and we don't have it. So I mean, I know there's good cookies downstairs, but it's not National Cookie Day. It's National Donut Day. So I'm just saying, if anybody's in the neighborhood, I'm available.
I got a fantastic later day, fantastic recipe for you to make donuts yourself at home.
I don't think that'd go well with Miss Joni. Anyway,
well, as far as that donut thing, if they bring donuts, I would say a donut, and the three of us share that
you
one.
Think so?
Would probably be to our best interest. Yes.
We're not worried about your best interest.
Can I be the one that divides it up?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
As long as I get to divide it up, I'm all right with that.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. You don't have to worry about it.
Just
Tom
don't let me divide it up.
Yeah. So, Gerald Ergel, that's the voice you heard. Gerald and I talking earlier about the Privacy Act in terms of what's been happening in our country with Big Daddy spying on us, and we had a conversation over coffee. Gerald's been on the whole court down at Starbucks downtown occasionally, like every day. We had a conversation about leadership. There's an awful lot of things on the plates of our elected officials now. I don't necessarily envy them all. I know I heard one conversation, Gerald, you have with somebody today that she wanted to know what was going on downtown. You did a good job of explaining as best you could and accurately what was happening. We've had some good advocacy groups. One of them was Save the Marion Theater, by golly.
Absolutely.
No doubt about what we wanted to do, that's for sure. And so we're waiting now for some decisions to be made. We don't want a monarchy here, with the king ruling, but we also want people to tell us why we need to go fix things at Silver Springs, why we need to do the things downtown, why we need a ballpark. Do we need one or not? There's a lot of ambivalence about things like that. Yet right now, other than Daniel Owen, I give him a lot of credit. He's pushing it hard. He's been pushing it for quite some time. If that's what he believes, he's really behind it. I want people to lead me in that direction, and you made a good point about it today. Talk about what your conversation was today.
Well, our conversation this morning was, of course, about the baseball stadium article in the newspaper this morning, and it was indicated in there. In fact, one of our council people actually said, "I'm going to stay neutral," and the other two pretty much indicated that by the comments they made, and I just think that our elected officials, whether they be city councilmen, whether they be county commissioners or state, wherever, I think that we elect them, and I think that if an issue comes up, we depend on them to decide with the information they have, is it good for our community or is it bad? And if it's good, then I expect them to advocate for it. And the baseball stadium is the one at hand. If the information they have that it's going to be good for this community, then I think that they should step forward and advocate. They should explain to it.
Excuse me, what's your position on the baseball park?
With the information I have and what I know, I think it would be a great thing for Ocala. I think that whether you like baseball or not, it would be an economic development project. I think that it would bring people in, and I think it would be good for everyone.
Multi-purpose parks, so you can have concerts or whatever else.
Absolutely. And
you think it's possible to raise that much money with a half-cent sales tax?
Well, I mean, the sales tax certainly would produce it. Now, can we get the people to vote for it?
And it's going to be sustained once it's built.
That's a whole other project,
So you would check yes in a box right now if you had to?
If you ask me, did I think it was a good thing, I would check yes. I think it would be a good thing.
Okay.
And actually, I think that we need to let the people vote on it. Now, if the people vote no, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Then the majority says it's not a good thing.
But you still want our leaders to tell us whether we should vote no or yes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I may listen to them and I may not,
right.
But the fact is, I think that that's leadership. I think that they need to express their view. Now, if they don't think it's good, I think they need to let that out, too.
What do you say about the people who get elected by talking to the people, talking to folks, and getting their opinions and ideas, but get in the office and become mutes?
Well, I think that's horrible.
And basically say, I don't want to ruffle the feathers. I don't want to say anything controversial. I don't want my name in the paper. And not everybody does that. But we have some local officials who don't want to talk.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure because they don't want to come on the show, because pretty much all of them come on the show. But whether or not they really are actively engaged in dialogue with the community, I think that's what you're talking about, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. An elected official needs to be in the community. They need to talk to the community. They need to listen to the community. They need to give their reasons for or against. That's the reason we put them there. And, having been there, I know that what you read in the newspaper is not always exactly correct. And I don't particularly fault the reporter because they can't sit through a 3-hour meeting and in 2 columns in the newspaper tell you everything that happened. But sometimes I've seen them just miss the point completely.
Yeah.
So my philosophy has always been, if you see something in the paper that you are interested in, then you need to really find out what the facts are. And that's what our elected officials, they should see that we have the facts as they have them so that we can make a decision.
We used to have a saying back in the days of reporting that if your source is your mother, get a second source.
That would be true.
And back it up with something else. But I do feel with the reporters, because you're right, I've been in that chair, and sometimes you can't get the whole story in an hour. And you might try to call people or ask people. They don't always tell you the answer. They don't tell you the truth. So you've got to discern. That's why I always call it the best version of today's truth.
Right.
Because that's all we have at that point. Tomorrow could be different. So you're wanting, are there any particular issues that you think are out there now that we need to hear more about that you feel like people should come forward on, or just in general you're talking about?
Well, it'd take us all day to sit here and talk about all the issues we have.
But for you personally,
the school system, I'm very concerned about our school system. I think that we have great school teachers. And I think it's a shame that we don't pay them a salary that's commensurate with their education and the ability that they have. We send our kids to school, and and of course I hate all inclusive comments, you know that, but there are so many parents who send their kids to school, and they expect the teachers to see that they get educated for everything. And that's an unrealistic assumption.
So does it bother you, the story I read today in the Star Banner, that Marion County's 4th through 10th graders continue to lag behind the state in reading, math, and science, according to the recent FCAT results? It says right here, the State Department of Education, into the 14 categories in all grade levels and subjects, including 3rd grade reading and math and writing, which were released in late May. Marion students gained ground on the state in 6 categories, lost ground in 7, and broke even in 1. Does that bother you?
Sure, it bothers me. And I'm not an educator, so therefore I can't tell you what the problems are. But I do know apparently whatever we're doing is not working. And I don't know that more money will fix that, but I don't think less money will fix it. Mm-hmm. You talk about cutting. You cut the budgets. You can only cut the budget so far. And there again, I'm not involved in the school system, but I just know from past experience, you can only cut so far without getting into the people who are doing the job. Because, whether it be the police, the sheriff, at the city, the electric, or wherever, your personnel expense are the big part of your budget.
You get what you pay for, too, in the end.
So you can cut all the frivols, but when you get to the point you have to start cutting people, then you affect the education, your service from the city, the service from the county, and whatever. So, buddy, it's easy to say, let's cut. I'm not going to raise taxes. That's easy.
That's what I'm hearing.
That is easy. But what's difficult is for our leaders to say, hey, I understand, but there are some things that are important to us as a community.
And they have to prioritize those things that are important.
That's exactly right.
Now, let me just say this.
I had one of the guys that was running for county commission. And I've been there a long time, so I'm against taxes, too. I pay them, pay taxes, property taxes. Mm-hmm. But I had one of the guys running for county commission, and he was politicking away. And I said, "Will you promise you'll never raise taxes?" Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I will never raise taxes.
Wrong answer.
I said, "Well, you just lost me because I think that is an irresponsible answer."
There you go. All right, got one final question for you, and thanks for coming by today on a kind of a lazy summer afternoon and filling a spot for us. You got a question you have something you want to say before we? Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll finish up what you got. I want to ask you one final question about decision-making as an elected official.
Okay.
All right? After this time out on The Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. Yes, sir.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin. If you have an award or a trophy in your house, there's more than a good chance it came from BJ Trophies Gifts and Awards. At BJ Trophies, Floyd Hirschberger and his staff have a lot more than just trophies. Among the items they specialize in are donor recognition walls and trees, personalized or engraved gifts, cast bronze dedication plaques, wide format digital printing with posters, banners, and signs, and promotional products. Floyd is the official trophy and awards maker for the Voice of Ocala radio show and is North Central Florida's leader in custom recognition programs, corporate awards, industrial engraving, unique gifts, and advertising specialties. When Angie Lewis went shopping for something to award to the winners of her State Farm Good Neighbor Award, she shopped first at BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Check them out at 1735 Northeast Jacksonville Road on North Magnolia's Miracle Mile, or call them today at 352-732-2249. BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Trophies is just our middle name. Hi, this is Buddy Martin. I want to tell you about a conversation I had recently with General Manager Pat Murray on the great family atmosphere at Country Club of Ocala.
It's a family-first club. Again, we have any number of different types of memberships, but obviously the one that attracts the greatest level of interest is our family. And the reason for that is we have a little bit of something for everybody. I mean, we obviously have a world-class golf course. We have 7 tennis courts here for all levels of tennis players. We have a junior Olympic-sized swimming pool. We have a fitness center that's second to none, and we have state-of-the-art equipment in our fitness center.
Country Club of Ocala, where the facilities are all a family would ever need. For more information, call today at 352-237-6644. That's 352-237-6644. Country Club of Ocala, proud sponsor of Monday's Gator Report and Gator Talk Thursday right here on The Source.
Hurricane season is upon us. WOCA and Sunbelt Rentals wants you to be prepared. Sunbelt Rentals has the equipment to help, like air nailers, aerial lifts, chainsaws, chippers, and stump grinders. They have light towers, skid steer loaders, and generators, just to name a few. Sometimes you might need a little help cleaning up afterwards. Sunbelt has the equipment you need, like dehumidifiers, pumps, sewer snakes, wet dry vacs, floor dryers, carpet equipment, and more. And right now is the time to get it done, with 2 special offers just for WOCA listeners. If you rent Friday after 3 p.m. and return it Monday before 9 a.m., you will only be charged for 1 day. Plus, just by mentioning WOCA, you get 25% off your rental. You heard right, not 5 or 10, but 25% off your rental just by mentioning that you heard it here on WOCA. But you better hurry. This is a limited time offer. Visit Sunbelt today on Highway 27, just half mile east of I-75. Give them a call at 369-9101 or visit them on the web, sunbelt.com.
Hi folks, I'm Seth McBride with Pasture Sports. Here today to tell you about our annual early buy school uniform sale. Save up to 15% off. Calling all students and parents of Trinity Catholic, St. John's, you get 15% off. Ocala Christian Academy, you get 15% off. Blessed Trinity, you get 15% off. Meadowbrook, you get 15% off. Dr. N.H. Jones, First Assembly, Redeemer Christian School, Grace School, you all get 15% off. And now, welcoming our newest school, Evergreen Elementary, you get 15% off. Now is the time to buy your school uniforms from Pasture Sports. Buy now, save huge for next year. 15% off now through May 31st and 10% off June 1st to June 15th. So come on down to Pasture Sports for the only big school uniform sale of the year. Located on Highway 200 across from Honda of Ocala, Pasture Sports, your uniform experts.
Welcome back to the final segment with Gerald Ergel, former mayor, councilman, sheriff's deputy, star football player for the Wildcats. Well, maybe I...
Yeah, now you're stretching.
Well, I saw you play. I can say that. Gerald, got a couple minutes, and I want to get to your... I know you're a proud uncle, and you want to talk about Max White, who's got quite a career starting for himself. Tell us who Max is, what he's doing, what he's up to. And you went to see him play.
I did. We went up for the weekend. Max is, I guess you'd call him my grandnephew. He's my niece's son, Molly and Luke White and Willis.
I just call them my nephews.
Yeah.
Because I can't, I can't get too confusing.
Too far, yeah. But Max was a star baseball player at Williston High School, and his mom and dad carted him all over this country with summer league baseball. And for his sister Harley, that's all she knew was baseball. And but anyway, it paid off for him because early in his high school career, they began colleges particularly, and then around the sophomore and junior year, the pros began to show interest in him. And I know you don't have much time, so I'll get right through it. But in the end, he had 23 pro teams that actually contacted him.
Scouted him.
And he had 15 that actually came and sat in his house.
Wow.
And talk to him. So that's, I think that's pretty commendable that you get that many. So anyway, long story short, he, the Colorado Rockies came out
drafted
within the last 2 weeks of the draft period. They came out, said they were interested, and they drafted him. He drafted in the second round. It's kind of interesting.
Very high, by the way.
It's very high. It's kind of high because I think it was the Red Sox had committed. They said they would take him at number 52, I think, in the second round. And then the Rockies called, and they asked his dad, says, we have a 50-something pick, but we have to have a pitcher first. Will he still be available? And his daddy said, if you guarantee that same slot bonus, he'll be available.
Good move by Dad.
His dad was pretty quick on the draw there, and he said, absolutely, we'll guarantee the slot. So sure enough, they had drafted him. I think he was 73rd. And by doing that, they actually had to come $300,000 above the slot pay, because they did the slot thing about a year and a half.
Smart negotiations.
So he wound up with his slot pay plus $300,000, and he's doing great.
And he's now where?
He's in Asheville. He signed for a 6-year deal. They said we'll have you there in 6 years. So he skipped 1 year. So he went directly from rookies to A-League. And he's playing in Asheville now. Okay. And he's doing quite well.
Good baseball town. Now, used to be a team in Bend, Oregon with the Rockies. Are they still with them? I don't know.
I really don't know.
And the Colorado Springs used to be the AAA.
Yeah.
But
Colorado Springs, I think, is still that's still their AAA in Colorado.
So you may
Springs,
be going out to the Colorado Springs here in a year or so.
We have to. We have to.
Yeah,
we'll make the trip.
Good place to go.
We'll make the trip.
Well, that's great. Congratulations. Keep us up to date on
Okay.
Max. Will you? What's going on? That's a good story. And I just got about 30 seconds. So I want to say real fast that I know one thing I wanted to say to you about. I like your analogy about leadership. I think that elected officials should be really bold in their decisions. And if they want to move Halloween night, they need to be able to move it.
Well, I don't know about that one. We might rethink moving Halloween trick or treat.
I had to tease you about that.
Bold is one thing, but moving Halloween.
I had a little fun with Joe. That's one thing you say, he'll never do that again.
That's right.
But at least you had an opinion about it. You took an action.
Absolutely, I did.
And by the way, thanks for being a great servant for our community. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you,
buddy. Good to be with you, Gerald.
Thank you.
And good luck to Max.
It's always good.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about walking that donut off if we ever got one. Walking that donut off, and we got a good place for you to go. Tom, you and I managed to start the afternoon walkers because we're going to be out there at the mall.
We are.
Mall. We'll talk to Steve Sears, the mall manager, after this time out on the Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
She grew up in an Indiana town, had a good-looking mama who never was around, but she grew up tall and she grew up right with them Indiana boys on an Indiana night.
Is your over a strikeout? Strike one.
It's embarrassing to drive.
Strike two.
It costs too much to maintain.
Strike three.
You owe more than it's worth.
You're out of there.
Hey, this is Chris Spears from Prestige Auto Sales. I'm celebrating two of America's favorite pastimes, baseball and driving.
So this week you can hit a grand slam.
I'm giving you a ton of cash off a nicer, newer car you'll love to drive.
Are you riding the bench because of bad credit? Our For the People credit approval process goes to bat with the banks and lenders to help you get approved and back in the game.
Join the major leagues and start driving a car you love.
Come see us during our Drive It Out of the Park event and get a ton of cash off a new ride.
Hurry, this game isn't going into extra innings. The stadium goes black after we've helped 57 people score a new ride. My name is Chris Spears, and I'm a dealer for the people.
Visit Prestige in Ocala or Bellevue, or call 694-1234. See you at Prestige.
If you need a sign or a banner for your yard or your business or your campaign, I'd recommend you go to Signs Unlimited at 318 South Magnolia in Ocala. Screen printing, embroidery, digital graphics. Do what I did when we needed signs for the Save the Marion Theater Group. Go see Vic Buttermore at Signs Unlimited if you want quality work with a fast turnaround from somebody who is deeply committed to his community and always ready to assist you. There's a reason Vic's slogan is, it's our business to make your business better. Sign up for Signs Unlimited. Call 732-7341 today.
Beef O'Brady's in Bellevue has something for everyone every day of the week. On Mondays, it's buy one, get one free chicken fajitas with a 2-drink purchase. Tuesday, kids eat free from 4 to 8 p.m. Wednesday night is karaoke night from 7 to 10 p.m. Thursday night is trivia night with me, the Trivianator, from 7 to 9 p.m. Weekday happy hour starts at 3 p.m. But the weekends are just as awesome with happy hour all day, Friday through Sunday. Come and enjoy the outdoor patio and over 20 draft beers, a full liquor bar, homemade pizza, and watch your favorite sports on 25 flat-screen TVs. Saturday night features live music from 8 to 11. Bikers are welcome anytime and get 15% off your food if you bring in your helmet. Need to throw a party? Beef O'Brady has you covered with 45-person party room for rent. Beef O'Brady's located at 4496 Southeast 100th Place in Bellevue.
Beef O'Brady's. Good food, good sports.
Pick up your copy of Lady Lake Magazine featuring local businesses and issues and written by local volunteers. Lady Lake Magazine has become a must-read in Marion, Lake, and Sumter counties, audited by Circulation Verification Council and serving the area for 23 years. Plus, Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. All we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 352-804-1223 and pick up your copy of Lady Lake Magazine today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're ocalaforsale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to ocalaforsale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
Hi, I'm Russ with Climate Control Mechanical Services, and I want to invite you to tune in every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. to listen for tips and answers to the many questions you may have about your air conditioning and heating for your home or business. The Climate Control Show, every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. right here on WOCA, 1370 a.m. and 96.3 FM, The Source.
A garden, and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA, The Source.
WOCA, Ocala.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
He had hoped to focus on foreign policy in a visit to California today. Instead, President Obama is answering a lot of questions about how much the government knows about your phone and internet use. He says it's to prevent terrorism and that Uncle Sam isn't listening to your calls or reading your emails. She's an actress and a beauty queen. Soon, Shannon Richardson may also be able to add felon to her resume. The Texas woman is under arrest, accused of sending rice and lace letters to the president, the mayor of New York, and his gun control lobby. The feds say Richardson told them her husband did it. Tropical storm Andrea headed to some places which are still recovering from Superstorm Sandy. The first storm of the Atlantic hurricane season could bring a lot of rain to parts of the Jersey Shore. This is National Donut Day. It's to honor the women who served the treats to soldiers in World War I. Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme, and Tim Horton all marking the event today by, what else, giving away free donuts. This is ABC News.
Jay Farner here with Quicken Loans. Here are 2 simple words that should make you reconsider waiting to buy a home. Buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,350. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.5%, APR 3.65%, that payment could support a $300,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6%, that same $1,350 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $225,000 mortgage. That's $75,000 worth of home that you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. And for 3 years in a row now, J.D. Power & Associates has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Give Quicken Loans a call today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com and maximize your buying power.
For J.D. Power & Associates award information, visit jdpower.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance costs. For cost information, equal housing lender license in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
I'm just sick of all the amateur stuff, you know? I mean, like, if I'm paying top dollar, I want a little production value, you know? Like some editing, transition, something, some music.
Don't worry. We didn't leave you.
He's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Our bosses say we gotta stay.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei.
It's time for the second hour of The Voice of Ocala.
Hoo-ah! You ever come across anything like time travel?
Come on. Stick around. It's free.
If you win, you win. If you lose, you still win.
All right, hour 2 of the program, like the man said, we're here at the Gateway Bank, as we are every Friday. It's Community Gazette Day, and it's also National Donut Day. Let me just say right now, I'm not begging, but I'm going to give you a few factoids, Tom, about, let's see how good you are, the Tribunator, okay, how good you are.
All right.
Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll talk about how to get that weight off if you need a place to walk. Well, there's a new trend going around. It's actually an old trend that's come back. It's called mall walking. The Paddock Mall has opened up their facilities. Steve Sears, who's the mall manager, is here with us to talk about that and explain. We've asked him to come in and give us a 1, 2, 3 on that. But meanwhile, and JJ, I know you're not a big donut guy, and I'm not really either, but in honor of National Donut Day, we have to do a little celebrating of history. And so here's a couple of things that, do you have an idea that who actually brought the donut to us the first in the U.S.? Anybody know where it came from?
It was an Asian delicacy, wasn't it?
No.
Okay.
And I'm Tribunator now. Okay.
Stump me.
Okay. It's Dutch. And it was called, I can't even pronounce this word, it was called Oliekoeken. Olecoecken. That came. That first, now, the first donut machine, where was it?
Coney Island, New York.
Well, you're close. It's actually in New York City, brought by the Russians, a refugee from Russia, Adolf Levitt, who couldn't make them fast enough, apparently. And so they were not actually the original donut the way we see it today, but they had 3 egg yolks and a whole bunch of other stuff that would have made it more rich and firmer as a treat. However, that's the last one. You know the cold glass of milk idea with the donut?
Yes.
Where do you think that idea came from and that whole thing? It started on a movie and by a very famous movie actor who started that when it became a fashionable thing in 1934.
James Cagney.
It's a good guess. Clark Gable. He showed a fellow actor the right way to do it in a movie called It Happened One Night.
Yep.
That's good stuff, Terminator. You could use this on your Tuesday show, live things up a little bit, you know?
Okay.
I'm trying to help you out, man.
Yeah, those are terrible questions.
Oh, did you get any of them?
Terrible. Well, that's why.
You went 0 for 3 yourself.
Well, terrible question.
I thought you were the guy with the master of all the non-essential information called trivia.
That's why they're terrible.
JJ, were they terrible?
Well, nobody's going to get those.
I know they're good questions. Yeah.
No.
They're great questions. Where'd the donut come from? You guys got to get educated on important things, okay? I'm here to help you out a little bit. Coming up in the program this hour, we got tweets and quotes to talk about. We'll continue on our conversation about privacy, whether or not it's an issue for us. We heard Gerald Ergel talking about it earlier. We'll just leave it out there for you. If for some reason you want to discuss this aspect of it later in the program, welcome to call the show. We kind of keep the back door open for you if you'd like to give us a call and talk about it as well. We talked about the schools in Marion County, the situation with the FCAT. They're in the test, and Marion County is behind the state in math, reading, and science, according to the FCAT results. And in all 14 categories, in all grade levels, Marion County students gained ground in 6 categories, lost ground in 7, and broke even in 1. So I don't guess that's a whole lot of progress. I know George Tomlin's got his work cut out for him, and we all are concerned. You heard Tom talk about the teachers earlier, about the fact that we've lost teachers, and it's disconcerting that we have to, we have a talented bunch of teachers and can't keep them hired because, let's face it, good people are not going to stay around if they keep getting laid off. And so, anyway, that's something we should all be concerned about. Have you seen the downtown square, Tom?
I have seen the downtown square with the fence all the way around it.
Yeah, kind of looks like Alcatraz. I know
keep people out, not to keep people in.
I understand, but the point is that the fence aspect of it is something you have to do naturally, and I like the fact that it says stuff is going on downtown. It tells you that Matt Brower's plan is still enacted, and they're still doing things. It's moving slow for folks, and now it's going to be a slow summer, which it always is downtown. But I want to see some progress, and like everybody else does, I want to see some bricks and mortar. I think our best shot is for the possibility of having that boutique hotel, which I know the Peaks are working on. I know Sandy McBride is working on the Sprint building. I'm anxious to hear what's going to happen in those projects because we need to move along with our plans on the Vision 2035. Lanier Park we talked about a lot. Tuscarora Park we talked about. Try to stay up on that. And, of course, I think it was a positive thing last week when the county finally decided to go forward with the CRA taxing district in Silver Springs in order to raise funds to build around that. Like Gerald Ergel said earlier, if you say you're never going to vote for any tax, you shouldn't be in office because there's certain kind of taxes that you just have to have. And when you have a half-cent sales tax, it's not the same as property taxes, okay? Nobody wants to pay more taxes. I don't think you can walk down the street and say, raise your hand if you want to pay taxes, and anybody say, yeah, let me pay some more taxes, But it's prioritizing. And as I said earlier last hour, it's up to the elected officials to tell us what's important and why we need to allocate tax dollars for that. I don't understand it all. I know there's a big struggle for money now because the county, as it gets bigger and has more people in it, the gas taxes redistribution now is going to change some things. And that means the city of Ocala is going to be a little bit light in the wallet because other districts are going to get more money. And so the money allocation of money is what these officials do. It's what the people in Tallahassee do. And it's what they're supposed to do, and we're supposed to get good information. The only thing I'll say, I thanks to all the people who willingly come on the show and tell us and educate us about what is going on. I wish we'd be even more open about what is transpiring because too much is still taking place out of sight. And when things happen out of sight and elected officials are involved, they're not being very forthcoming about what is going on with the people's business. And it is, don't forget, always the people's business.
Without a doubt, it's the people's business. And the thing is, yesterday we were talking about the same thing, and we were talking about taxes and everything, and, to City Councilman John McLeod said that he doesn't think that he should make those decisions. It should be left up to the people to make those decisions.
But I think he wants the ballpark.
But he's publicly made a stance that he wants the ballpark and he wants the Yankees to come here if we can get them here.
Mm-hmm.
And people may say, well, but he didn't say he wants to tax. No, he wants those things. He just thinks the tax should be something the people should vote. It's not something that should be mandated by politicians. And I agree with that 100%. I want the baseball facility to come here. But I also think that to fund it, it should be put to the people. If we're going to have to fund it as a municipality, then we should all vote on it. It shouldn't be something mandated for us.
I love John McLeod. I think he's done a really good job of first-year councilman. I'm going to differ with him a little bit. I understand what he's saying about give it to the people. It's the right thing to do, but at some point, you got to stop saying give it to the people. You got to say, here's what we need to do. I'm going to bite the bullet. We're going to move forward. I'm voting for this. And if the councilman, his fellow councilman, voting down, then so be it. By the way, good day on the Dow today. closed up more than 200 points. So if you got stock, that's good news for you. We'll take a break. We'll return. We'll have Steve Sayers from the Paddock Mall coming up next right here on the Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Hi, it's Lisa Midget with Kinetic Motion Fitness. I'm looking forward to a fun, healthy summer, and I have a few ideas that might just help you and your friends stay in shape and have fun too. Along with awesome personal training and group classes at our warm and inviting fitness studio, we also offer fitness classes at your home or business. And if you're tired of the same old, boring cake and punch party, why not let us host a hot new health trend, a fitness party at your home or office? If you're having a hard time getting to the gym this summer, because of your crazy schedule, then work out with your friends or coworkers in a private group fitness class or host a fitness party at your home or office. We will bring you and your friends or coworkers one of our great workouts like Zumba, Pilates, Body Bar, Yoga, Tai Chi, Boot Camp, or Zumba Tonics for kids. We can even help you reach your long-term goals by meeting at your place weekly for an on-location workout. Check out our website at kmfocala.com and like us on Facebook. Kinetic Motion Fitness is located just 5 minutes from downtown Ocala near the Skylark Plaza. Kinetic Motion Fitness. We're ready when you are.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin for WinStar Medical Research. Every day we hear another story about innovation or about the cutting edge of technology taking place right here in Ocala. The power plant, HMC, Ocala 489. But did you know that important medical research is also being conducted here that will impact hundreds of thousands of people in the country someday? Maybe you've heard the name WinStar, but like so many others, perhaps you didn't realize WinStar Medical Research is one of the top facilities of its kind anywhere in the U.S. There are important studies being conducted by a highly qualified team of medical experts at WinStar, impacting decisions of major pharmaceutical companies and bringing new drugs to market. And you can be a part of these studies, as so many local people are right now. WinStar has conducted more than 500 studies since its inception and would like to extend an opportunity to you to be a part of these. Call 877-629-5800 or 352-629-5800 if you'd like to know more. WinStar Medical Research, locally owned and operated in beautiful downtown Ocala. WinStar, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today.
The AP is reporting that 2 explosions at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. There's 3 people confirmed dead at Boston Marathon. Multiple people injured. Explosion at the Boston Marathon. Report of another possible device at the Mandarin. Our 6 reported injured, no deaths. Workers felt the blast all the way over from Newburyport Street.
The Voice of Ocala, your eyes and ears when it really counts.
Look who just walked in the room. Joel Wiesner from What's Up Ocala. Hey, Joel, I'm looking for something to do this weekend. You got any ideas?
Absolutely. Check out our event calendar online at www.whatsupocala.com, and there is plenty of events there for you. Daily news updates to event reviews and magazine articles.
Really?
We've organized it all in one place online for you to cut through all of the hassle of finding something to do this weekend. We have a daily event calendar, a bi-monthly magazine, and we also do daily news articles.
All right, Joel, that's perfect. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Whatsupocala.com.
I'm heading down to Daytona, where it all begins.
Hear that? You could be going down to Daytona for the hottest races this summer.
Where the track is really fast.
The Firecracker 250 on Friday, July 5th, and the Coke Zero 400 Saturday, July 6th.
Start the season even.
And all you have to do is register for your chance to win at the following locations. Baseline Auto Sales, 2501 Southeast 58th Avenue on Baseline Road. Brick City Health and Fitness in the Pine Plaza on South Pine. And at the home games for the Ocala Stampede played at Trinity Catholic. Each sponsor will have 2 tickets for each race, and the drawings will be held Friday, June 28th. There's no obligation to enter, so you don't need to be present to win. And enter as often as you'd like. You're always a winner with WOCA The Source, and you could be...
What you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Willpower plummets the more tired we are. In fact, night owls do eat nearly 250 extra calories a day compared to people who go to bed early. Because the law doesn't recognize their relationship, unmarried couples many times don't have the same protections and advantages that married couples have. Facial expressions are linked to our emotions. They feed off of each other. Frowning increases stress hormones. Smiling reduces them, even if you're faking one.
Intelligence for your life. Don't miss this stuff.
Hi, welcome back to the program, The Voice of Ocala. Coming up just a second, Steve Sayers from the Paddock Mall and Gateway Plaza join us. Right now we're going to go to the phones and see if we can hear you okay.
We got Tim.
Talk to Tim on the voice account. Tim, can you hear me okay? JJ, can you tell Tim over here?
Tim, are you there?
Did we lose Tim?
I guess.
Okay. All right, thanks for calling, Tim. Sorry we couldn't get you on. All right, time now to go talk to our guests. You know, if you read the newspaper, I think it was yesterday morning, there's a story about mall walkers, and something that's not brand new. It's been around for a while, but seems to be revitalized now. A lot of people are doing it, and there seems to be no better place to go in the summertime when it's hot than a nice air-conditioned mall. And thanks to Steve Sayers and his team, you can now go over and do that 6 days a week, and actually one Saturday and 5 weekdays. And so Steve has joined us to talk about it. We have to have an afternoon club for us. We're going to be moving over there soon to join you. So we need to have can we have like a mall crawl in the afternoon or something so us guys can go?
Of course.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Good to have you with us. Just new to town, and glad to have you in Ocala. And
thank you.
Your background is in the Northeast, and we have a lot of folks here from the Northeast, obviously. And how'd you find Ocala? Obviously, the company, the job, but were you familiar with it before you came here?
I wasn't. I actually came my last stop before Ocala was Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So I came from a big market to a small one, but I immediately fell in love with Ocala. It's nice scenery. We don't. I think we call my people up in the Northeast snowbirds here, so that was different. But it's great to be here, and I've had a lot of good networking experiences. People welcome me, so it's been great.
Good. You know, you'll meet my daughter Laurie Martin Gregory, but she moved here from L.A. 2 years ago, and then she moved from Boston to L.A. So you have a connection there in that regard. And
L.A. to Ocala. It's got to be some sort of culture shock, doesn't it?
A little. Well, it's funny when people complain about the traffic on the 200 here.
Yeah, really.
And I go, well,
get on the 5 in L.A.
It's funny. Nobody's ever called it the 200 before.
Yeah,
you know, it's funny, but it kind of sounds good actually, because that's what the big cities call it: the 5, the 200, the 25 in Denver. It's funny. In Manhattan Beach. You familiar with Manhattan Beach?
I actually lived right down the street in Redondo Beach.
Okay, well that's where my daughter lived, was Manhattan Beach, which is a lovely town.
It's very nice.
Terrific place, and a little pricey for my taste, but nice. And so good to have you here. And just a piece of history. You're a Red Sox fan. There was a time when all the Red Sox farm teams trained right here in Ocala, every one of them, from AAA down. Believe it or not, many years ago for Winter Haven. Just give you a little history, because I know you're due to Ocala. Now you know all about that, right? Tell us about the mall. What's going on at the Paddock Mall these days, and what are your goals and challenges out there?
The goals for Paddock Mall, I mean, obviously it was renovated in 2008, which is always good to tell people maybe they haven't been to the mall in a little while, especially the mall walkers, actually, because when the program started in 97, the mall was it was in good shape back then, but it kind of was facade-wise, and the tile was getting old, things like that. So the mall is basically, it looks brand new inside. It is brand new. We've got brand new food court, brand new bathrooms, pretty much state-of-the-art everything. So it's a great place to be. It's very nice. It's open. Right now we're going through our transition stage in the mall. We're trying to bring in newer, fresher tenants. I mean, you'll know them as retail shops and Aeropostale and those types of people that we're trying to respond to what the community wants. We're trying to bring in more juniors, more children-oriented stores, more stores for the teenagers out there that we always get on Saturdays and Sundays. So lots of changes, but by the end of this year, we're going to see some fresh new tenants, and it's going to be great.
Well, one of them will be WCA, by the way. Speaking of fresh and new.
Yeah.
We've been hearing this a while now. Martones are working diligently to do this. We won't discuss this in detail, but we'll be seeing you soon out there by the food court, and it's going to be quite interesting to see the number of people we get a chance to see that we don't see when we do the show here over at the Cascades. So that should be kind of different.
And what's going to be great about that is you're going to have that viewing window. So for people know when they walk into the food court entrance, there's going to be a huge glass window on the right-hand side, and you're going to be able to see everyone on the radio. Yeah, I think it's a cool experience.
Yeah, like on National Donut Day, we can put a sign up.
Yeah.
It says, please bring donuts, and people will be able to see it, right?
Absolutely.
So we can beg right there in that window. Yeah, so what's happening to the mall business? What is the new culture of malls?
I think a lot of people are generally in belief that online sales and online marketing companies like Amazon and eBay and what have you are slowly destroying brick-and-mortar businesses.
Are they?
I don't think that's true. I think there's a transition period, but the bottom line is I think people still want to go to the mall or wherever, and they want to look, see, and touch what they're buying. I think that's especially true for women, which is always the number one customer for pretty much any retail experience. I mean, all women know this. If they go to one clothing store and they buy something, it's not going to be the same size anywhere else. They want to go on them, they want to make sure it fits. And that's holding true. I mean, when the recession hit in 2008, certainly sales went down. Certainly some retail stores suffered and they had to close and shuttered. And big boxes like JCPenney and Sears have suffered somewhat. But we're starting to see that come back. We've been coming back strong as a company for the last couple of years.
Simon.
Yep, Simon.
How many malls you got? You got a bunch of them, I know.
Simon has a little less than 400 properties that it owns or has an interest in across the United States, Europe, and some in Asia now. And actually a couple in Brazil that we just bought.
It's interesting to think about the culture of the mall because, as you say, there's certain products that you aren't going to order online. And if you look at the model by Apple, their whole culture of the Apple store is something that you couldn't do anywhere except in the Apple store.
Exactly.
And I've been to the one in L.A., and I've been to the ones in, other cities, and you take a number, you have to make an appointment to go in there. The one in L.A. I know. And so I know you could never reinvent Apple, but, I mean, isn't that the same kind of thing? So the experience you want people to come and experience the stores and the retail, as you said. Women they want to try their clothes on. They're more conscious than men are about it. They want to feel the fabric, and not guess about it. So, and this is the direction you're going with your company.
Absolutely, and we as a company are supporting our retailers by trying to get them more involved, especially our online presence: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Flickr, any other online social media experience that you have. We as a company have had a real push towards that the last couple of years, and we're involving our retailers. So our shopper specifically is someone that shops at Paddock Mall a lot. They can go onto our Facebook page, click on the little deals tab, and they can see all the deals for all our retailers in the mall over the past couple of weeks.
Okay.
Is my experience with the mall, and it seems the older you get, the less you go to the mall unless it's for a special occasion. Like now at Christmas, I go to the mall every year do my Christmas shopping and everything. Is the mall experience still on a Friday evening a bunch of teenagers running around aggravating adults?
What do you think? What do you think he's going to say to that answer?
Thankfully,
sure it is.
Thankfully, we have excellent mall security that put a damper on your 14 and 15-year-olds with nothing better to do on a Friday night. I don't think that's so much the experience anymore. I mean, I think we are bringing in a mix of tenants that hopefully have something to offer for everyone. It's an enjoyable experience for everyone, whether you're 60 or whether you're 10. We're trying to create an enjoyable experience with soft seating. We did away with those old benches where you sit on it. It's all wooden. It's uncomfortable. We've got all soft seating in Paddock now.
I watched a young man today. I say young man. He's probably in his 60s. And his wife walked up to him and she said, "I'm just going to be in Sears a little while longer." And I was texting you that Steve was going to be on the show today, and I'm listening there, eavesdropping on the conversation. He says, "Don't worry about it. This couch is comfortable. I can sit here forever."
There you go.
But that is part of the experience. That is part of it. I mean, when I go, though, I don't want to go in every store my wife wants to go in, and I don't want to sit on the hard bench all day. So I wind up either not going or saying, "Make it short. Let's get out of here." But if I got a place I can read my emails, sit there, and relax for 30 minutes or 20 minutes, she shops, you're going to make more money off of me because I'm not going to be saying, "Let's go." So that's a smart thing. I think a lot of times malls have made it uncomfortable for people to sit and have actually discouraged sitting. By the same token, you don't want everybody sitting around,
just hanging out,
meeting of the Gray Panthers, or something, But I understand that too. So what is you mentioned a couple of things for young people in stores and shops, whatever. I remember being at a graduation ceremony at Boston University when a guy got up and talked about a new company called Old Navy, saying this is a new trend, and the sort of distressed look and so on and so forth. What are some of the new trends in stores now that we were seeing in other cities that are really that we haven't seen in this marketplace yet?
As far as fashion trends?
Could anything in terms of fashion or even electronics or, what is the next new hot thing in retail?
I think every retailer tries to get on top of that, and that's an excellent question to ask. It's also a really tough question to answer because sometimes you just don't know. I will say that some of the hottest stores that have been doing really well in the past 5 years are stores that we're bringing to Paddock Mall this year. Maurice's is going to be doing a soft opening.
What is Maurice's?
Maurice's is a company that probably not everyone's familiar with around here, but they're kind of your they're like a Forever 21, but for all ages and sizes.
Okay.
So they're not specifically your 16-year-old who can
not teen
pull
fashion,
off, can pull off that sort of high fashion type stuff. Or it's for your your 22, 24, 26. I'm a little bit more mature now. But I also have a sense of style and fashion. Okay. And I also don't want to go out and drop $60 on a blouse or $70 on a blouse.
Okay.
So
price points is a big factor.
Price point's a big factor. Price point has to be right for this market, and it's also a fashionable amount of attire.
Right.
We're also bringing a new retailer that's going to be opening this fall in time for Black Friday, and there's Zoomies, also another retailer that I don't think too many people are familiar with around here. Zoomies is it's definitely teenage, young 20s oriented, but it's it was born out of a skateboard store.
Okay.
So that type of fashion, I mean, it's not going to be, what am I trying to say? No swear words on clothes or anything like that.
Right.
What you typically think of as a skateboard type store.
Right.
It's very clean. But again, they're doing very well as a company. They're obviously offering products and apparel that people like and they want, and it's fashionable.
Right.
Now that could be unfashionable 3 years from now. That's the tough thing about retail.
I always wonder why hair salons don't do better in malls.
It's funny because we have 2 hair salons. We have Regis and the Hair Plus. Regis especially does very well.
Yeah.
And they're
where I get my hair cut.
Do you get your hair cut?
That's where I get my hair cut.
They'll pay you $50 not to say that on the air, by the way.
And we also have another. It's not a hair salon; it's a barber shop, Platinum Cuts, and they do very well.
Okay, I just don't see a lot of hair salons in many malls. I wondered if there was a reason or whatever. And the second question I have is, the real trendy thing these days is food. I mean, there's always food. Foodistas out there. There's always the health kick, all that stuff going on. Obviously smoothies and things, but nutrition and food, really big. I haven't seen that manifest itself in the commercial food market a lot in this town. I mean, obviously it's not sushi and things like that. That's been around. But, I mean, the next wave of food, I'm wondering if there isn't, the food court is the food court. It's basically fast food.
Sure.
I'm just wondering if that's not going to, I don't know. I'm what I'm thinking about. But you know what I mean? Someplace you go for a food experience at a mall, right?
Yeah, if you're talking about your fast casuals, people like Chipotle.
Right.
Certainly. Those types of
Just had one open, by the way, on 200, as you know.
They did. I tried to get them into the mall.
It's been great. I go there. I've been there several times.
Yeah. Those types of operators like to have their own pad.
Right.
On South College.
Right. Would have been a great addition to the ball, yeah.
Yes. That is specifically, though, something when I came to Paddock, I said Paddock needs a nice sit-down restaurant. So that's been my number one goal.
Well, good. I think that's a good idea because then you can go out, you can shop at 4 o'clock, and at 5:30 go have yourself a nice meal.
Absolutely.
See, and I see it as your significant other shopping while you're taking in the Sunday football games or the Saturday football games in a sit-down restaurant at the mall.
You're talking about a bar, that's different.
No, restaurant. No, because when I was growing up in Atlanta, you always had, and it was a Hula Hands or a Ruby Tuesdays or something was always part of the mall. And you would go in, and that's where you would go in, and you and your dad, my dad and I would go in and watch football while my mom spent lots of money she probably shouldn't have spent.
Sure.
So, and you don't see that. The two things you no longer see in malls are restaurants like that and bookstores. Used to there were bookstores in every mall.
Well, bookstores
you don't see
anywhere.
No, you don't see bookstores anywhere.
Bookstores and music were the two things that really were quote unquote killed by the internet.
Yeah.
That mostly through piracy.
Right.
I believe in the early 2000s.
How has the kiosk changed the mall?
The kiosk and the common area are focuses for us, always because we always want, number one, we always want the customer to feel welcome in the mall. So especially in our company, we have a strict no hawking policy. If a kiosk or a cart is calling out at you or hawking you or making you feel unwelcome, come by the mall office and tell me, because I will do something about it. Absolutely. So that's
a good rule, by the way.
It is. I will. I won't just stand there. I'll say, okay, I will do something about it. I will find them. And if they continue to do it, then they don't need to do business at Paddock Mall.
Sure.
Unfortunate, but everyone has rules to follow.
I think it's a good rule, and good for you for doing it. And I have some questions about this market. I know, by the way, a friend of mine who used to actually manage the mall years ago told me an astounding occupancy rate that you guys have out there. Mm-hmm. You perceive it as being slow economy, but you guys have had, I want to say, 90% occupancy in the mall. I want to get some in your head some numbers, and tell me about this four-county area, which is where this mall was designed to do, to serve the area. So let's take a break. We'll come back with Steve Sayers. He's the manager of the Paddock Mall and Gateway Plaza. We'll talk about that next right here on the Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Since 1976, Daniel L. Hightower, a lawyer, has been fighting for accident victim justice in North Central Florida and statewide. He believes everyone in America should follow the rules, including the insurance companies. He and his firm have experience fighting for victims of personal injury, wrongful death, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability, as well as serving those in need of help with bankruptcy, simple wills, and estate plans. The mission at the law offices of Daniel L. Hightower, PA, is to represent deserving clients and recover the maximum benefits they are entitled to by law in a timely manner. In personal injury and workers' compensation cases, there are no fees or costs unless a recovery is made. The law office of Daniel L. Hightower is located at 7 East Silver Springs Boulevard, Suite 300. For your free consultation, call 352-629-7777 or 1-888-LAW-1976 and visit danhightower.com for more information. Daniel L. Hightower, PA lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice, and the proud sponsor of Ask the Cops.
This reprise of Ask the Cops is proudly brought to you by Daniel L. Hightower, PA lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice since 1976.
My question is, how many motorcycle patrolmen are working right now between the police department and the county, and how many are there?
The police department has 6 traffic officers who ride motorcycles. It is a specialized assignment. It's always the same 6, and they're highly trained on how to handle that motorcycle and in traffic law investigation and enforcement. I'm not sure how many the sheriff has.
Yeah, we have around 4. It's the same here. I mean, they're specially trained. They're assigned to a traffic unit. I have a sergeant over top of that unit. I had a lieutenant, but when I took office, I went ahead and made a change and put that lieutenant in a district, and so now the sergeant heads that unit. And we have motorcycles. They could be in cars too, so it depends on them, depends on the weather conditions.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front-end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
Howdy, folks. RL here to invite you to Dairy Queen for a great new meal. Dairy Queen's now serving 3 different $5 meals. Hot dogs with chili, cheese, slaw, whatever. Quarter pound with cheese, loaded up any way you like it. Solid filet chicken tenders. And each meal comes with fries, a drink, and a sundae for only $5. You got that right. Nobody beats that deal. A great value and a great meal. So come on down to Dairy Queen at Silver Springs, where they always treat you like kings and queens.
This is a public notice. Local residents can now save thousands of dollars on their next car, truck, or SUV. It's not a tent sale, because no tent is big enough to hold this many cars. It's ocalaforsale.com. Say goodbye to sticker shock. Ocalaforsale.com has thousands of vehicles with no stickers at all. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to ocalaforsale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge, undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
This is Don with ABC Frederick's Appliance. Here's my daughter, Lena.
And hey, everybody, it's Lena. You need to come down to ABC Frederick's Appliance on County Road 25, just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue, where you are treated right with the right products like Whirlpool, Maytag, Crosley, and Speed Queen. These are the new ones. Don't forget, we also carry used appliances that we warranty. ABC Frederick's Appliance does repairs, too. Call us at 629-5181. ABC Frederick's Appliance on County Road 25, just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue. It's at 629-5181.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. Wear it, Florida. Times of clouds and sunshine today. Breezy and warmer. A shower or thunderstorm around through the evening hours. High 87 to 91. Partly to mostly cloudy and muggy later tonight. Low 70 to 74. Tomorrow, variable cloudiness. A couple of showers and a thunderstorm or two. The high 86 to 90. Sunday, clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm. High 86 to 90. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
And welcome back to the Voice of Ocala. On a Friday, it's Community Gazette Day at Gateway Bank. Our special guest, Steve Sayers, who's opening up his mall to all the walkers. It's going to be kind of can I have like the coffee concession that morning at 8 o'clock when they all walk in there? I like to just say, okay, coffee for $1. You'll have a lot of people. How many do you think you'll have in the mornings out there at 8 o'clock when they start their walking?
Well, it's actually funny. After that article ran, I easily saw double the mall walker traffic that we usually have.
Really?
So we had a great response to it.
Yeah.
I would say we easily have 100, 150 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great. What's the rule?
Over that 2-hour period before the mall opens.
We need to give them headsets so they can listen to the station as they're rolling around, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do encourage our food court tenants to open, and I'm going to talk to them and to serve coffee or that early morning bite to eat. Especially.
Donuts. We're going to keep trying. We're just going to keep trying. Very good. So let's talk about this market. How many years has it been since the mall opened?
Mall was opened in 1980.
Okay. That's
about 33 years.
I thought I was thinking it was 20. And so now I know that at the time, I was not living here at the time, but I know that there was a thinking that we didn't have a lot of shopping in this district, in this Marion, Citrus, Levy County area. There weren't, back in the day, people had to go to Orlando to shop for anything or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's changed somewhat now, obviously. What do the numbers look like? You were sitting in the home office at one time in L.A. or wherever you were, looking at Ocala, and you're looking at it. What were you looking for, and what did you see when you looked at numbers?
Well, as far as market size.
Yeah, market size, trends, competition, traffic here.
Sure. Paddock has always been a strong mall. It's always been what they call a regional hub mall.
Yeah.
So it was meant, I'm sure, Simon didn't originally build it. We ended up acquiring it, but I'm sure what the builders intended was to fill the market gap between Gainesville, which is further enough away but not quite, and then to fill the market gap between Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done that quite successfully ever since. Like you mentioned right before he went off, we've always had a very strong occupancy rate. Mm-hmm. Tenants have always wanted to come to Ocala. We have a very special market here. We have lots of retirees and snowbirds, and so the market actually stays pretty steady instead of really having that weighted, heavy traffic at the end of the year, like every mall does. But we actually have some steadier traffic in months like January and February where you don't normally see that. And that's one of the reasons Paddock has always been successful. Ocala has always been a growing market, not so much in the past 5 years or so, but that's starting to pick up again. Unfortunately for the owners of Market Street at Heathbrook, when they built that back in 2007, it was just bad timing.
Bad timing, yeah.
I mean, who knows if the recession hasn't hit? I don't know what the situation would be right now, retail-wise. We'd probably be fighting with Market Heathbrook for tenants. But right now, I mean, Paddock, we maintain 95%. Of course, we have people coming in and out every now and then, but we've always had a good market share. The market is growing. Number of households, I think families are growing here in Ocala. And I've seen, just in my market research, I've noticed in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was always you move out to the suburbs. And you buy a house, you buy land, you go to the suburbs. Now, what I've been noticing in the past 5 years, and what people tell me, much smarter than me, is that people are starting to move towards the cities now in the last 5 years or so.
that downtown's become more fashionable too, as you know.
There's always been downtown revivals in the last 5-10 years as well.
Right. Now let me ask you about. I'm become a downtown guy. We've done a lot of broadcasting down there. I grew up in this town, and this downtown's been. It's been a very thriving business community over the years, except for a period of about 10 years when it really went dark almost. But I mean, back in the 1880s, and Tom's a historian, it was a thriving Florida city with a vibrant downtown back then. Now it's come back pretty well. They're still trying to develop the east side of the square and fix that situation with the hotel. But it's possible to coexist, isn't it, with the mall and downtown and not be competitors, isn't it?
Sure. I mean, absolutely. I don't really think that I personally don't really see downtown as a competitor. I don't see myself competing for tenants or for people who want to do business between downtown and Ocala. Usually when they open up their business or whatever it is, usually they have a business plan, obviously, and they usually have a goal. Usually they probably most of the time decided whether it's going to be a mall, whether it's going to be a pad out of a busy highway somewhere, or whether they want to do downtown. So those are the big three options.
Okay, so going in, they know what they're going to do.
Especially like bars and nightlife and things like that. You're probably going to want to go downtown. That's where all the growth is right now.
Right.
I mean, me personally, I'm not sure if I want to go to a bar at a mall.
Yeah, no, I can understand that completely. Like you said, it's the mall experience, and it's getting walking around. All right, so what is the projection on the business numbers you're seeing? Because we're beginning to see upturns. At the same time, it jumps up and falls back business-wise. Is the business is the mall picking up business as it goes? What's the growth projection for the next 6 months to a year, and how you feel about business overall?
I can't give you like hard numbers
because you don't know what everybody's retail numbers are.
Sure. I do have a very good gist of where it's going. I can tell you like mall sales have been steadily up since 2010. We were up, I would say, between 2 or 3%. And then this year we've been up even more. And so far in 2013, we've seen some healthy growth. And a lot of our key tenants like Victoria's Secret and Bath & Body Works and Aeropostale and kind of tenants like that really kind of dictate if they're doing well. Usually the market is starting to get healthier. So, I mean, things are looking up. I'm very optimistic about this year especially. I think especially every Black Friday, Christmas season has gotten stronger since 2010. So I'm very positive on the economy in Ocala in general.
Well, thank you for taking the time to come by today and visit with us. We'll be seeing lots of you soon out there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Look forward to our association with the Paddock Mall and seeing you and your associates, and hope you'll come back on the show again sometime.
Anytime. Thank you very much.
You talk about the Red Sox or
by the way, 32 and 14 Red Sox.
Yeah. All right. What are you? By the way, you are a Red Sox. Are you a Patriot fan too? Or are you? What are you all? What are your teams?
You're going to have everyone hating me at the end.
No. We have a lot of them. Listen, we have. Are you kidding me?
Huge Patriot contingent.
Patriot contingent. We have Brady. Everyone hates Brady. I just think so.
On our staff right here, we have 2 Buffalo Bill fans. So don't. I mean,
I'm not one of them, by the way.
I'm sorry about Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, they are too, by the way. So yeah. Well, we'll talk a little Patriot football with you as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Since the Celtics aren't in the playoffs any longer, but that's another story. Good to have you, Steve. All the best to you out there. Good luck to you, and I hope things go well for you. I'm sure they will.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Steve Sayers from the Paddock Mall and Gateway Plaza joining us.
You want to take a break so you can come back and do your tweets and quotes?
We could do that, or I could have Sean give us the donuts. I'm sure he must have brought them.
I'm sure Sean or Josh brought donuts.
I'm sure they brought them. I mean, I don't see them, but I know they're somewhere.
Somebody's got donuts, I'm sure.
I know. I just have the faith they're going to show up.
I trust that interns, make sure they take care of the host and make sure they get donuts.
If they're well trained. Now, who's in charge of the interns?
Okay, believe me, they should know that they should bring donuts.
No, who's in charge of the interns?
That would be me.
Okay, I guess maybe somebody dropped the ball on their job. I'm just saying. All right, we'll take a break, come back after this time out of the Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Hello, I'm Dawn Lovell, lead event designer and owner at Party Time Rentals. Have you ever wondered what it takes to make an event spectacular? Well, look no further. It's what we do every day. Whether you're hosting an intimate dinner for 10 or a gala for thousands, at Party Time Rentals, we find just the right style and elegance to make your event a success. Our extensive inventory of the finest in chandeliers, tents, crystal, china, and specialty items is featured in our fabulous showroom. Stop by and say hello. It's a great way to get ideas for an event and experience for yourself how you can make your party time special.
Party Time Rentals, located on Southwest 10th Street, just off Route 200 in Ocala, and off Southwest 34th Street in Gainesville. For more information, call 352-629-8858. That's 352-629-8858. The party begins at Party Time.
Recently, I had a great conversation with General Manager Pat Murray on the special events at Country Club of Ocala.
We have a lot of special events here that are geared towards the family. Easter comes to mind. We have an Easter bunny who hops around on the driving range, and we usually hide somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 eggs and turn them loose and let them go harvest the eggs. We have a great family celebration here on the 4th of July where it's a traditional cookout, if you will, and as the sun goes down, the driving range becomes alive with probably one of the better fireworks displays in the area. Breakfast with Santa is a big deal.
Country Club of Ocala, where the Easter Bunny, Santa, and all the children, large and small, are a big deal on every special occasion. For more information, call 352-237-6644. That's 352-237-6644. Country Club of Ocala, proud sponsor of the Monday Gator Report right here on The Source.
On Mondays, AM Ocala Live, Robin and I will be speaking to Lisa Jones. She's a contributor to Smithsonian Magazine. Her new book is called Broken, It's a Love Story. And then Open for a Debate, where I'll bring a topic to the show and we will debate it. Kirk Mitchell is coming on next. He's a feature crime reporter for the Denver Post, whose work has led to the captures and convictions of child molesters and killers in the United States and in Mexico. He's an award-winning journalist, and his new book is called The Spin Doctor. And then Ted Stewart will be with us. He was appointed as a United States District Court judge in 1999 by President Bill Clinton. His book is called The Mark of a Giant, 7 People Who Changed the World. And then it's Auto Repair with Personal Care with your host, Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Automotive. And then Margie Howard will be with us. She's a sociologist, an author, and a resident of The Villages. She's coming on to speak about her book, Love Letters from a Doughboy, a World War I love story. All of that plus fun with Joe on Mondays, AM Ocala Live, right here on The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM, 1370 AM.
This is a public notice. Local residents can now save thousands of dollars on their next car, truck, or SUV. It's not a tent sale, because no tent is big enough to hold this many cars. It's ocalaforsale.com. Say goodbye to sticker shock. Ocalaforsale.com has thousands of vehicles with no stickers at all. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to ocalaforsale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, less proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA The Source.
We're back on the Voice of Ocala, live from Gateway Bank. J.J. LaSalva back in the studio, a little angry, buddy, because I had to coach him up on baseball.
He's angry at you because you weren't paying attention, though, when he came back. That's what it was.
I had to coach him up on baseball. He didn't bring us any donuts either, by the way.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good thing for all of us. I just want, before we go to tweets and quotes, I want to say this. You know, every now and then, like, you follow up on stories you hear about things like this marijuana situation, the dispensaries in Colorado. You wonder how that all went down, what happened, and what problems it's creating. I still don't quite understand it. But I read 2 paragraphs just now that really sort of think, wow, this is really something. One of the things that's happened is that the that they're dealing with are having all kinds of problems because of the cash business that they have.
Right.
Listen to these two paragraphs I'm going to read here. Every month, Elliot Klug, or one of his business partners, walks into the Colorado Department of Revenue with a messenger bag holding thousands of dollars in cash and waits as state employees start counting. Klug, a co-founder of Pink House Blooms, a chain of 5 medical marijuana dispensaries in Denver, has to pay his sales tax in cash because federal law bars banks from offering accounts to pot shops, even though they're legal in Colorado. It sort of highlights the awkward situation we've been placed in, Klug says. We're paying taxes, but despite our best efforts to be good citizens, we're still paying in cash. So the whole cash business is really creating a problem for them.
So these guys are having to keep all this cash because they can't put it in the bank?
Which brings in another problem of robbery.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other part of the thing. Anyway, as I read on, but the problems are created. Of course, the banks have to, meanwhile, report every deposit as suspicious because they're, quote, pot-related. So it's not exactly smooth sailing out there.
Wow.
In Denver, where they've decided to go with the weed. I've just been wondering how that whole thing has been going, and obviously there are some issues there.
Well, now, is it medical marijuana in Colorado, or is it completely legal in Colorado?
It's completely legal, but the dispensaries are the medical marijuana we're talking about here.
Right.
They're causing problems to pay taxes. The whole thing is legal, obviously, out there, but that's creating some problems. Anyway, it's a whole bunch of stuff we don't quite understand. Coming up in the Sports Hour, we're going to have a special guest. Josh DeSalvo's got a special guest for the high school segment. Joe Williams will be joining us. We'll be talking to Joe about the situation with George Karl. How do you become the coach of the year and then get fired? It's happened to George Karl, and I'm sure Joe will have a few things to offer there. Of course, last night's basketball game, remarkable play. How good was the play that Tony Parker made that clinched the game? And we've all seen it 1,000 times. Some say it's phenomenal, one of the all-time greats. Some say it's just a play that he makes all the time. How good was it, given the situation he was in, and how costly could it be to the Heat, who now find themselves having to win Game 2 because they're going to Colorado. They're going to on the road to play 3 games out of town. And consequently, the Heat could be in jeopardy in San Antonio of not being able to come home. So it's very critical. And Tony Parker's shot, phenomenal. I don't know how he did it exactly. I guess it's kind of like a split, and he gets up, and he throws it up, and he bounces it off the glass and off the rim, and it goes in. It's like, wow. Even he said it was a great deal of heat and luck involved in that shot. So, all right, JJ, it's time to cue it up. Let's finish up this hour with our tweets and quotes here on a Friday afternoon at Gateway Bank. Here we go. This comes from the late Steve Allen. It says, if there is a God, the phrase that must disgust him is holy war. So true. Number 2, I love this. Is my favorite one of the day, from a guy named Jeff Pearlman, who often tweets interesting, funny things. Just a guy. The Republic is ruined. My mom sent her first text today. How things change. And finally, who else but our favorite friend, Will Ferrell.
Oh, that's coming.
All right, what's close? Will Ferrell, who's completely nuts. I love this one. I dream of a better world where chickens can cross the road without having their motives questioned. Oh, my gosh. The sick mind's pretty good time, huh? I don't know. I'm a Stephen Wright fan, but sometimes Will Ferrell has whoever writes those for him or Jewel. Some of them are really bad and a little raunchy, but still good stuff. Okay, that wraps up hour 2 of the program. Coming up next hour, we got lots of sports for you. We got the boys here in the round table at the bank. Josh DeSalva, Sean Down Goes Frazier may contribute, may not. We never know for sure.
You're leaving us so halfway through the sports hour.
But I'll be here for the first half hour to conduct a conversation on how significant, how big was that win last night? What does it mean? And, of course, it was in the end. Only one game. Remember that. Let's not panic. You think LeBron might be ready for Game 2? I think so. So we'll talk about that next right here on the Voice of Accountability Sports page.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back up in the woods among It's embarrassing to drive.
Strike 2.
It costs too much to maintain.
Strike 3.
You owe more than it's worth.
You're out of there.
Hey, this is Chris Spears from Prestige Auto Sales. I'm celebrating two of America's favorite pastimes, baseball and driving.
So this week you can hit a grand slam.
I'm giving you a ton of cash off a nicer, newer car you'll love to drive.
Are you riding the bench because of bad credit? Our For the People credit approval process goes to bat with the banks and lenders to help you get approved and back in the game.
Join the major leagues and start driving a car you love.
Come see us during our Drive It Out of the Park event and get a ton of cash off a new ride.
Hurry, this game isn't going into extra innings. The stadium goes black after we've helped 57 people score a new ride. My name is Chris Spears, and I'm a dealer for the people.
Visit Prestige in Ocala or Bellevue, or call 694-1234. See you at Prestige.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin. If you have an award or a trophy in your house, there's more than a good chance it came from BJ Trophies Gifts and Awards. At BJ Trophies, Floyd Hirschberger and his staff have a lot more than just trophies. Among the items they specialize in are donor recognition walls and trees, personalized or engraved gifts, cast bronze dedication plaques, wide format digital printing with posters, banners, and signs, and promotional products. Floyd is the official trophy and awards maker for the Voice of Ocala radio show and is North Central Florida's leader in custom recognition programs, corporate awards, industrial engraving, unique gifts, and advertising specialties. When Angie Lewis went shopping for something to award to the winners of her State Farm Good Neighbor Award, she shopped first at BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Check them out at 1735 Northeast Jacksonville Road on North Magnolia's Miracle Mile, or call them today at 352-732-2249. BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Trophies is just our middle name.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA The Source.
In Clark, we trust.
Hi, this is Clark Howard. Join me every weeknight at 6, right here on WOCA 1370, The Source.
The sound of the bat cracking, the crowd cheering, the smell of overpriced but tasty hot dogs, the memories that will last a lifetime of your first baseball game with little Johnny. Your team wins. It was a great night until you get home. It's 9 p.m. and your wife says you have no water.
We have no water.
What do you do?
What do you do?
Rule number 1, don't panic. Remain calm. Okay, that's 2 rules.
We don't have time for jokes, funny man.
Okay, think back. On the way home, you heard a radio commercial.
Mike's Got Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Eureka. You saved the day. You remembered that Mike Scott Plumbing doesn't charge extra for nights, weekends, or holidays. You are a genius.
Hey, Mr. Genius, did you remember the phone number?
Of course you did. Remember, you're a genius. 352-237-2888. Because at Mike Scott Plumbing, if water runs through it, we do it. Even if water's not running through it at this particular moment. Mike Scott Plumbing.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're ocalaforsale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to ocalaforsale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
WWWOCA, WWWOCA.
Right here since 1957. We're WOCA, News Talk 1370.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
I'm Daria Albinger. The Air Force is taking a big step in preventing sexual assaults. It's putting Major General Margaret Woodward in charge of that office. The first time a woman has overseen the program. She has a lot of experience in this area. She was in charge of the investigation sexual abuse scandal of the Air Force training headquarters at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. A shooting at a college campus in Santa Monica, California. 3 people have been hurt, 2 of them critically. One student said it sounded like a small explosion going off. An actress and a former beauty queen from Texas is about to take on a new role as a suspect in a major criminal case. Shannon Richardson was charged today with sending ricin-laced letters to the White House, the mayor of New York City, and his gun control lobby. The feds initially say Richardson told them her husband did it. If you're looking for a job, there were 175,000 new ones to choose from last month, and a lot of people competing for each and every one of them. And that pushed unemployment up slightly in May. This is ABC News.
You hear that rattle, kid? That's an unbalanced condenser fan. That's bad. Unbalanced things break. Broken things cost money. Spending money leads to unbalanced budgets. That's why I like Grainger. They balance my needs with my budget. Grainger has counterweights, fan blades, motors, everything we need to keep this place humming. Not rattling, humming. The Grainger catalog in all its forms. Get it? Got it? Good. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here we have a rare treat, the keeper of the forest, as some have coined her. Built to carry heavy loads long distances using minimal natural resources. Her coat of iron and steel keeps her safe. You can just feel the motherly instinct she has for her surroundings.
Sometimes the best things for nature come in unexpected forms. CSX trains move 1 ton of freight nearly 450 miles on a single gallon of fuel. CSX, how tomorrow moves.
How much time? 30 seconds. I'm on right now. I don't believe you.
Okay. Enough kidding around.
Ho, 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 ho.
And now it's time for the Buddy Martin Sports Page.
He actually had me stay here last night in his gym.
It's like I don't fit in. It's like I don't belong here.
Let's go talk to a couple of guys that never gamble.
Oh, see, I made Lewis a bet here. See, Lewis bet me that we couldn't both get rich and put you on the phone house at the same time. He didn't think we could do it.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
And now, here's Buddy.
All right, welcome to the Friday Drive presented by Prestige Auto. We're at the bank, Gateway Bank, for Community Gazette Day. It's time to go out now to Prestige Auto and see if we can't find Chris Spears, who's somewhere on the lot there watching people kick his tires and trying to give some cars away. How are you, Chris?
Doing great, buddy. Doing great. And thanks for calling in on us. Coming in, school's out, and lots of things happening. And just excited to be part of your show.
Well, good to have you on. We missed you last week, but I know that you're getting new cars in all the time, and you know there's a lot of different ways you can go. But the most important thing for a person buying a car is something that he or she can afford. And of course, sometimes people need a little counseling on that, and you've been known to do that sometimes. People come in and say, "I want a car," and then you say, "Okay, let's see what you can afford." Am I correct about that?
Yes, sir. It's there's a formula to what makes sense, and I've seen car lots let folks making $1,600 a month leave with a $500 car payment or close to it, and it just ought to be a crime. You know, there's a certain because what happens is about that third or fourth payment, that newness is worn off. Now you're just looking at what you got to write a check for, and then it's got to make sense. And many times I tell people, I know I'm there to serve them, but I can't knowingly or with a good heart let people get into a trap, because there's no way a single mom with 2 kids needs a $450 car payment, even if she is excited.
Chris, let me get this straight with you right now for people to know. You sell a lot of cars out there and all kinds of mileage, some with low, some with medium, some with high. What happens if somebody buys a car that appears in good shape and let's say it has 125,000 miles on it, and they get the car and drive it off the next day something's not working? What do you do?
We take care of the customer. Every car we sell comes with a warranty. There's a couple different trim levels in it, but if we can't sell a car with at least a 30-day warranty, and probably 95% of our cars go out with a 90-day warranty, and some even longer, we don't need to sell the car because, we can get folks anything. Matter of fact, I spoke to a guy today at Sam's Barbershop when I was there this morning. That they want me to look for him like a 1 or 2 year old BMW 7 Series, and that's a different kind of a budget customer. But most of the folks we serve are working folks. They're looking for a good $250, maybe a $300 car payment, and they're looking for a reliable ride to work, and they're looking for someone that they can trust, and that's what we do. Yes, I can get someone a Corvette convertible, and yes, I've got a BMW convertible on the front line, but most of the folks we serve are folks that are working in your restaurants, they're working in your schools, they're driving your buses, they're policemen, and they want a good car that makes sense, and that's what we try to do. And they don't, everybody sees these ads for $79 a month, or buy a crew cab truck, a brand new crew cab truck for $7,400. It amazes me that some of these dealerships think people are just going to continue to fall for stuff that's just ridiculous. And we just hope to be. Most people have 2 or 3 places they want to stop, and if they can put us on that list, we'll try to serve them and do something that makes sense, and not get them into something that 4 months later they're going, man, this is $150 a month too much. What was I thinking?
If you need,
certainly the salesman back there is never going to tell them, man, that don't make sense.
Well, if you need good transportation and you need to know what you can afford, you have some difficulty financing, or if you just want a good car for a good price, go see the Yes Man, Chris Spears. You can log on to his website. That's prestigeforyou.com, and you can see what's out there. And he's open this weekend, I'm sure. And he's got plenty of cars. He doesn't want to keep them around, as far as I know, right, Chris?
No, we've got 130 or so cars. I just got in 2 real nice diesel trucks with a 7.3-liter diesel, and a lot of SUVs. I've been buying a lot of SUVs. I bought a couple of Nissan Armadas this week, just a ton of that stuff. And for your listeners, buddies, this month, if they'll go to our Facebook page, Prestige Auto Sales, and like us, then I'm going to take the group of new likes this month, and I'm going to give somebody a year's free service and a free detail, which is about a $250 value. So that's just by simply going to Prestige Auto Sales Facebook page and liking us. And, if 30 people do it, you got a 1 in 30 chance. If 20 people do it, it's 1 in 20. But I'm going to give somebody a year's worth of free service and a detail for Mother's Day or something, or Christmas. And because you send a lot of folks our way, and I'm just if you're listening to the show and you hear it now, when you come in, say, Buddy sent me, because I'm going to do something extra special, because, man, this guy is an advocate for us, and I can't thank him enough.
Well, we appreciate it, Chris, and I'm sure that people will take you up on that. And all the best to you. Have a great weekend.
Mention Buddy, and I'm going to do something that'll make you smile.
I'll be running you out of town to do that. All right, Chris, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Prestige Auto Sales. Good talking to you. All right, time now to hit the headlines. What's going on in the world of sports. Talk a little about the NBA playoffs last night, and lots more stuff on the sports agenda. But to JJ LaSalva, what are the headlines today?
Obviously, the basketball game is number 1. The Spurs took game 1. My pick's not looking that great right now, 92-88. Even with LeBron's 18 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists, triple-double, still lost. Tony Parker, awesome game for him. 21 points, awesome shot at the end of the game. Make it a 4-point game, almost impossible for the Heat to win. Also today, Rafael Nadal won a 5-set match against Novak Djokovic in the French Open semifinals, which makes the number 1 ranked Djokovic. This is the only major he has not won, so he won't win again. Rafael Nadal has only lost, I think, twice in his whole career at Roland Garros. In the U.S. Open in golf, Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, and Adam Scott will be grouped together for
Playing
the first
together.
2 rounds.
How about that? And that's just notice who's not in that group.
Serge.
You got it.
And they will begin on Thursday, next Thursday, obviously. And this is a funny one. Mark Cuban is paying $100,000 of his own money to SMU for an 18-month investigation that focuses on flopping in the NBA, and somehow he's trying to figure out some scientific way to prove what's a flop and what's not a flop, buddy.
How about that? Tom brought that up earlier. I thought, you think he might be trying to Tom said, you think he might be trying to tweak Commissioner Stern with that little $100,000 study? Yeah, a little thing going back.
And this is my favorite one of the day.
Okay.
Favre's got one too, but not nearly as funny as this. Dennis Rodman was on the Dan Patrick Show today.
Yeah, I heard about this.
And he said that if LeBron played in the early 90s, late 80s, like Jordan did, he would just be an average player, buddy, in the NBA. I don't know what to think about that.
I think he's been spoken to about that North Korean peyote or something. I don't know. Something going on there. LeBron would not be average in any league, anytime, anywhere. So much for Dennis. Okay, let's talk about that NBA game for a second here real quick. We'll touch on it. We'll go to break. But I want to go back to my complaint I made earlier. You probably were smarter. You didn't watch the pregame
I actually
show.
watched the whole game on mute.
Okay.
So
well then there you go. That's no problem. And by the way, I like Mike Breen, and I think Van Gundy's good. I enjoyed their commentary. Of course, the problem is now the ambient noise on telecasts is it getting so bad that some producer or director wants to give you the feeling you're being there.
I hate
the crowd noise is so loud you can't hear the announcers, you know?
And you brought it up earlier, I don't care so much about the crowd noise as much as the dumb PA announcer.
And the one in Miami is horrible.
They're really cheesy and corny, and you could definitely do without them. They're super loud, and they're obviously home team biased. They talk over the announcers. It's just not what you want to hear. And the squeaking. I feel like sometimes ESPN adds extra squeaks in when it comes to the tennis shoes on the court.
And the grunts. It's like the one time the TBS was accused of adding the birds and the telecast on golf. I don't know. Just for a quick second, I didn't think I cared that much about the pregame show, and I don't. But I got to tell you, the league needs to take this over. Every game should be conducted. They should be done the same way. And it's like, how much of a downer can we make it when we introduce the visiting team? Come on, folks. This is not a high school football game. This is the NBA Finals. It's like, okay, here's San Antonio, Tim Duncan, you know. And then, of course, now you're Miami. Hey, it drives me crazy.
And, the game didn't start till like 9:15.
I would like to time this out. I kid you not. I know it's at least 7 or 8 minutes. It took them to introduce the 5 Miami Heat players. And did you notice what they were doing? Did you see it? They didn't even come out. They were all standing there scratching their heads.
Yeah.
Just walking around, looking around like, why bother introducing them? Well, and why even do this stuff? It was really, really Bush League. I thought it was horrible. And, I hope that they'll get their act together. This Miami Heat announcer, he acts like this is Moses coming down the mountain with the stone tablets instead of saying, hey, here's LeBron James, you know.
You didn't think the little girl singing the national anthem
I think that was the only redeeming quality of the pregame show.
All right. I knew you wouldn't hate on that.
No, I like her. I think she's really a cute little girl and a very good singer. And then, by the way, I just memo to Michael Wilbon and his crew and
Irving, his friend Irving.
And Simmons and the gang. This is not an NBA regular season game. Don't come on with the same like as you did when, back in when they were playing basketball in December and you were doing a game. This needs to be spiffed up. I need to bring in some more talent.
Listen, TNT has the best NBA.
Right. TNT kills them.
And they don't do the finals. They don't have the rights.
I look forward to their pregame shows and their postgame shows. It was awful. Anyway, I want to get that off my chest today because it really torqued me. How good was Tony Parker in the third quarter? Well, guess what? We'll talk about that. And also I'll tell you about what really was the big stat, why the Heat are down 1-0 and why this team is for the Spurs. If they can continue to do this, they're going to win this thing. They may not come back to Miami if they're not careful. And also, I'll tell you about a buzzer beater last night that Tim Duncan hit, according to the fake ESPN. We'll come back and talk about that next right here on the Voice of Ocala Buddy Sports page.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Hi, this is Tom Schmitz, the host of Buddy's Saturday Sports Page on WOCA. The Saturday Sports Page is your weekend destination for everything sports. From NASCAR to golf, baseball to boxing, and of course the best, most comprehensive football coverage on the radio. Also, you don't want to miss my weekly Are You Kidding Me rant? So join me and JJ LaSalva every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for Buddy's Saturday Sports Page on WOCA, The Source.
Beef O'Brady's in Bellevue has something for everyone every day of the week. On Mondays, it's buy one, get one free chicken fajitas with a 2-drink purchase. Tuesday, kids eat free from 4 to 8 p.m. Wednesday night is karaoke night from 7 to 10 p.m. Thursday night is trivia night with me, the Trivianator, from 7 to 9 p.m. Weekday happy hour starts at 3 p.m. But the weekends are just as awesome with happy hour all day, Friday through Sunday. Come and enjoy the outdoor patio and over 20 draft beers, a full liquor bar, homemade pizza, and watch your favorite sports on 25 flat screen TVs. Saturday night features live music from 8 to 11. Bikers are welcome anytime and get 15% off your food if you bring in your helmet. Need to throw a party? Beef O'Brady has you covered with 45-person party room for rent. Beef O'Brady's located at 4496 Southeast 100th Place in Bellevue.
Beef O'Brady's. Good food, good sports.
Since 1976, Daniel L. Hightower, a lawyer, has been fighting for accident victim justice in North Central Florida and statewide. He believes everyone in America should follow the rules, including the insurance companies. He and his firm have experience fighting for victims of personal injury, wrongful death, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability, as well as serving those in need of help with bankruptcy, simple wills, and estate plans. The mission at the law offices of Daniel L. Hightower, PA, is to represent deserving clients and recover the maximum benefits they are entitled to by law in a timely manner. In personal injury and workers' compensation cases, there are no fees or costs unless a recovery is made. The law office of Daniel L. Hightower is located at 7 East Silver Springs Boulevard, Suite 300. For your free consultation, call 352-629-7777 or 1-888-LAW-1976 and visit danhightower.com for more information. Daniel L. Hightower, PA lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice, and the proud sponsor of Ask the Cops.
You're listening to WOCA, Ocala.
I'm heading down to Daytona, where it all begins.
Hear that? You could be going down to Daytona for the hottest races this summer.
The track is really fast.
The Firecracker 250 on Friday, July 5th, and the Coke Zero 400 Saturday, July 6th.
Start the season even.
And all you have to do is register for your chance to win at the following locations. Baseline Auto Sales, 2501 Southeast 58th Avenue on Baseline Road. Brick City Health and Fitness in the Pine Plaza on South Pine. And at the home games for the Ocala Stampede played at Trinity Catholic. Each sponsor will have 2 tickets for each race, and the drawings will be held Friday, June 28th. There's no obligation to enter, so you don't need to be present to win. And enter as often as you'd like. You're always a winner with WOCA The Source, and you could be...
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
Hey, I didn't know it rained last night.
Oh, it didn't. Why do you say that?
Because little Johnny's in the backyard playing in that big mud puddle.
Did you leave the hose on?
No, the neighbor borrowed it yesterday.
Wait, is that the side where the septic...
Johnny, get out of there!
Having septic problems? At Mike Scott Plumbing, we can make those septic worries disappear. We can pump your septic tank, repair your drain field, and, if needed, even install a whole new system. At Mike Scott Plumbing, we don't take crap from anyone. We take it from everyone. 237-2888. Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
You're my wonderwall.
And welcome back to Buddy Sports Page. Coach Austin from Forest High School coming up here in a bit with Josh LaSalva. These LaSalva guys are taking over the radio station. I don't know. Next thing you know, JJ's sister will have a show. And, she might be more talented than any of them. You never know. Coming up, we'll talk with him. I want to get back to the NBA game last night. And we'll just do a quick roundtable discussion and move on to something else. But first of all, how good is Tony Parker? We talked about that last week, and I said I thought he might be, and others have said too, one of the top 3 to 5 players in the league, and some of you guys doubted me on that. And not that I'm a visionary, but the fact is, Tony Parker last night in the third quarter outscored the Heat's big 3 in the third quarter alone. I'd like to tell you about the shot he made. That he got that shot off is a miracle.
How did he even get up off the ground?
How did he get the shot off? I mean, I've looked at that thing over and over. And he did a banana split. Did a 360 banana split.
Kept a dribble the whole time.
And who did he go shoot it over?
LeBron. Who he kind of hit him in the head almost.
Yeah. Started with Bosh, wound up with LeBron, and somehow made that shot go in. And, while that wasn't a winning score, it was the winner.
You know what my favorite part about Tony Parker is? 0 turnovers.
That's the big stat I was going to come with you next. Is that it's a well-played game. In fact, 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers in that game. Amazing.
4.
And for the team, both teams.
Yeah, St. Louis. Oh, okay.
Yeah, for both teams. And one of the things they laughed about was they said no turnovers. First play, Tim Duncan turned it over.
Well, Miami had 8 turnovers.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
San Antonio had 4.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. It was 8 and 4. It was 4 for San Antonio. But nonetheless, the turnovers, they're making the difference.
Right. You remember in the Indiana series, what was a big thing for Miami with their defense was they caused 15 turnovers in the first half one game. San Antonio is not going to have 15 turnovers in a whole game this series. That's not going to happen. This team's way too good. They're too good at passing the ball. When Manu Ginobili's coming off the bench for you, you have depth. They know how they're coached well. Even when they weren't making shots like last night, because they really had some open shots. They missed a lot of shots. They were getting offensive rebounds. Out of all the offensive rebounds they got, they were scored on. So second chance opportunities, they take advantage of them. This is just a great team.
It's a big team. And now here's the other thing. They were rested up. They are older. You could tell there were some lingering effects from the Pacers series, without a doubt. You can see that. And Tom and I were talking earlier today, and we both agreed on. We came to this conclusion. I think Tom, you brought it up, and I said I agree with you. That's the point I was going to make. Wade and LeBron, they got to attack the rim, and they got to attack David Robinson. I can't want to say David Robinson. They got to attack Tim Duncan. And wear him down.
They did in the first quarter, and he had 2 fouls.
2 fouls, came out, they stopped attacking him at that point.
And I don't understand it because you want to get Duncan out because Splitter cannot do defensively what Duncan can do.
Clearly he's not exactly no Duncan, even at 37 years old. Speaking of Duncan, is that Duncan Donuts? Oh, I'm sorry. But anyway, so I think you agree on that.
And I'm still not real sure, and I know everybody, but I've heard a couple people, I'm still not real sure that if the call on the floor was that the time had ran out before he got the shot off, that they'd have been able to reverse it and give him the basket either. I think that they called it a good shot. Tony Parker shot good on the floor, and then went to the replay. And I'm not sure if they'd have called it no good on the floor, that they'd have been able to change it back one way or the other. My point is, I'm not real sure one way or the other whether the shot was good.
Too close to call.
Right.
Almost. But they did.
They called it good on the floor, and so they had to stick with that.
No, there's no empirical evidence turned over. So I think they get. Now, here's the thing, and we all agree with this. Chris Bosh throwing down a 3-point shot with a game on the line doesn't strike fear at anybody's heart. Okay?
No, and there's a reason why he's open like that, because San Antonio, he hit a few of those earlier in the playoffs. Indiana, he hit a couple, but mostly he struggled, and they're going to keep giving him that shot. Nobody's scared of a 6'11" power forward or soft forward or whatever you are shooting all these threes. And listen, if they want LeBron to stay after next year, they got to get rid of Bosh after this season. They can't keep him. He's a 6 for 16, 8 rebounds, something like that. 5 rebounds.
Still
How
better.
Are you 6'11", you got 5 rebounds?
But JJ, even that, as bad as it was, it's still better than what he'd been playing. The problem was it all happened in the first 3 quarters, pretty much. And the thing is that, like you say, we're going to give him that shot because when the game's on the line, I don't want LeBron with the ball. I'd really have Chris Bosh shooting a jump shot.
Well, let me ask you this, JJ. Look at the line. If I'm not mistaken, you want to say Chris Bosh did it all in the third quarter. Dwayne Wade disappeared in the fourth quarter as well.
Oh, yeah, both of them, man. Dwayne Wade he's not coming back anytime soon. He was 7 for 15 last night.
Played well in the first half.
Listen, I like Chalmers and Cole or Allen and Chalmers on the court before I like Wade on the court. Really.
Well, but when he does click it on and does get going, and the board he's a terrific offensive rebounder when he gets in there and mixes it up. He can get off shots other people can't get. He's a really decent defensive player. But you never know which one you're going to get because he has several gears.
And he's got the old man knees. I heard a great quote by Charles Barkley today talking about Dwayne Wade. He said, players like Michael Jordan and Kobe later on in their career who were people who took it to the basket and that's how they made a living, learned later in their career to put your back to the basket, post up more, make jump shots more. Wade hasn't learned how to do that, and we can see now. He's not as flashy as he used to be. He can't get to the basket like he used to. He's not as strong as he used to. He's just not the same Dwayne Wade, and I don't think he's ever going to be.
Having said all that, it's just one game.
Right.
And it's not going to, the series is hardly over, and even though some of the things didn't work out that well for the Heat, it took an incredible shot by Parker with LeBron guarding him for the Spurs to win it.
And listen to this stat. Since LeBron's been on the Miami Heat, they've been down Game 1 4 times. It's the fourth time. In the previous 3, guess what happened? They won all the series, and they swept every single game.
They do not lose 2 games in a row, by the way. They just don't. Here's the final stat of the day, the final 2. This is the cruel tweet of the day, okay? From fake ESPN. Tim Duncan hit a buzzer beater last night. It was for room service at the nursing home. Oh, my gosh, that's bad.
Tim Duncan actually did hit a buzzer beater at the end of the third, I think it was, or second. And there was like 0.5 seconds left. Miami had a 5-point lead.
Coming up in just a second, Josh LaSalva, Coach Austin from Forest. Excuse me. Later on in the program, we'll talk about Mississippi State losing scholarships, 2 years probation. What about the deal that Nick Saban's got going down up there, how to sell his home? Comes with a lot of stuff, including tickets. And how can a coach go from NBA Coach of the Year to fired? We'll talk with Joe Williams. Hopefully that all goes well. Lots more to come right here on Buddy Sports Page. Stay tuned to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin for WinStar Medical Research. Every day we hear another story about innovation or about the cutting edge of technology taking place right here in Ocala. The power plant, IHMC, Ocala 489. But did you know that important medical research is also being conducted here that will impact hundreds of thousands of people in the country someday? Maybe you've heard the name WinStar, but like so many others, perhaps you didn't realize WinStar Medical Research is one of the top facilities of its kind anywhere in the U.S. There are important studies being conducted by a highly qualified team of medical experts at WinStar, impacting decisions of major pharmaceutical companies and bringing new drugs to market. And you can be a part of these studies, as so many local people are right now. WinStar has conducted more than 500 studies since its inception and would like to extend an opportunity to you to be a part of these. Call 877-629-5800 or 352-629-5800 if you'd like to know more. WinStar Medical Research, locally owned and operated in beautiful downtown Ocala. WinStar, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And so is State Farm agent Angie Lewis, working hard to serve her community as a citizen and insurance agent. Angie wants to help you as you adjust your insurance needs to your life, from everything to helping educate your teen driver to protecting your family against everyday risk. She wants to change the way you perceive insurance by developing relationships with her clients, which is why Angie and her staff are proud to be a part of so many good causes in Ocala. In turn, she has chosen to single out those who step up as leaders. Each month on the Voice of Ocala, Angie spotlights a good neighbor, saluting those who give exceptional service or do random acts of kindness to others. For this, Angie was written up in State Farm's national magazine. Angie also supports local businesses with a regular Biz Buzz. The Angie Lewis State Farm Agency is located at 1122 Northeast 36th Avenue, where visitors are always welcome and a coffee pot is always on. Call your good neighbor's State Farm agent today, Angie Lewis, at 294-2444.
WOCA, Ocala.
Hi, I'm Bianca.
I'm Debbie.
And I'm Lupe. And we would like to invite you to come visit our Merle Norman salon.
Come check out our Merle Norman's award-winning makeup.
Come experience our hair color, highlights, lowlights, perms, and organic keratin treatments. Oh, yes, I just had one done on my hair, and they are amazing. That's because it eliminates frizz, reducing the amount of products and time spent on your hair.
Normally, if I skip styling products, my hair's a mess. But after this treatment, my hair's awesome.
Merle Norman Studio is a full-service salon. We offer everything from massages to eyelash extensions. And don't forget to ask about our free makeovers.
We would love to meet you. So call us today at 352-368-5008.
Or stop in and say hi. We're located at 1012 East Silver Springs Boulevard, just a few blocks east of the downtown square.
Merle Norman Cosmetics Studio and Salon.
Hi, I'm Russ with Climate Control Mechanical Services, and I want to invite you to tune in every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. to listen for tips and answers to the many questions you may have about your air conditioning and heating for your home or business. The Climate Control Show, every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. right here on WOCA, 1370 a.m. and 96.3 FM, The Source.
As you're driving down the road, you may love your car, you may hate it. But the fact remains that you've got to keep it running to get back and forth to where you need to go. WOCA, The Source, and Sunrise Automotive are here to help with that. For a limited time, if you mention WOCA, you will receive $10 off an oil change at Sunrise Automotive. That's right, not 10%. $10 off any oil change at Sunrise Automotive. Sunrise Automotive is an ASE certified automotive repair center, so they know how to take care of your car. Located at 1800 Northwest 10th Street. All you have to do is call to schedule your oil change, 690-1993. Mention that you heard this ad on WOCA and get $10 off an oil change. It's just that easy. So now you have 10 more reasons to head down to Sunrise Automotive, 1800 Northwest 10th Street, Ocala. And don't forget to listen to Matt every Monday morning at 10 a.m. for auto repair with personal care. Right here on 1370 a.m., 96.3 FM, The Source. Your source for $10 off an oil change.
We're back on the Voice of Ocala live from Gateway Bank for Community Gazette Day. I'm Tom Schmitz. Buddy Martin on his way back to the WOCA studios, where he will momentarily be on the phone with Joe Williams. And I'm sure Joe Williams will have something to say about George Karl, NBA Coach of the Year, being fired after being Coach of the Year. But speaking of coaches, Josh LaSalva is here with another Marion County High School football coach. So without further ado, Josh LaSalva's High School Athletic Spotlight.
Thank you, Tom. This is Josh LaSalva, and I have Coach Austin, the Forest head coach for the football team, and we're excited for him to be on the show. But before we get to that interview, I want to acknowledge about something that I said last week regarding the MLB draft. We had two players in Marion County that were potential draftees, Josh Green and Jordan Austin, both of which played at Forest this year. So round 6 was today, and the draft, Jordan Austin was drafted to the Red Sox. His teammate Josh Green, however, is just going to continue his playing career at High Point University. So big shout-out to those two, doing phenomenal things for the Forest program for baseball. But you could make a case that Jordan Austin is a better football player than he is a baseball player. So without further ado, let's bring it to Coach Austin, who is Jordan's nephew, or Jordan's uncle.
Yes, he is my nephew.
So is that case? Could you make that case that he's a better football player than he is a baseball player?
I think you can. What the athletic ability he brought to, on the football field, being not just an outstanding all-state safety, but also a phenomenal running back. You can make that case that he may be just as gifted or more on the football field.
He's an all-around stud, regardless on what field he's on, pretty much. So you have been coaching for 19 years in the area here in Marion County. You coached at Forest for 5 years.
Yes.
So you got your first head coaching job now.
I do.
How's that feel, man?
It's exciting, overwhelming, tiring, tons of work.
A lot of long nights.
My wife, she's been great. My kids have been great. They understand, that the time that it takes to do it and to do it right.
Right. A lot of film you have to go through.
A lot of film, a lot of just meeting with kids, meeting with the community members, just trying to get as much information as possible to make this program top rate.
Now, speaking of the program, obviously there's a lot of history at Forest. A lot of boosters, a lot of people behind the team. And when the head coach job was vacant, there was over 100 of applicants that Coach Phillips said, the athletic director. Now, out of all the 100, you were picked. What makes you different from all those other candidates?
Well, first of all, it was quite an honor. Forrest with its storied history, taking over this program, and I don't know, if I'm any better than any of the other candidates. All I know is that, when I was going through the interview process and so forth, we just talked about hard work and what I was going to do for the kids, and that's what our program is about, is working for the kids, helping the kids. We use terms like love, care, family, and that's all it's about at Forest High School.
Now, there's been a steep mountain for you to climb in this offseason.
Yes.
There has been lots of transfers.
Right.
And I want to dig into this issue, because I see it as an issue. Tom Schmitz, sitting across from me, sees it as a big issue as well. Obviously, the team went through dramatic changes. Now, there has been more transfers from school to school in Marion County than I think in this past offseason than years in the past combined, honestly. What's your take on all of this shifting around from one school to the next? What's your take on all of that?
Well, I think I'm not for it. I think it's a problem. I think that it does not allow you to build a program and sustain a program. I think that, there's no such thing as loyalty anymore. I know that, when I was in high school, there was nothing better than playing for your high school that you were supposed to go to. And you went there, you started as a freshman, you worked your way through, you did the right things, and you just did your best for your school. In today's day and age, I guess, whether it's looking at college or everything, but it always seems like everyone thinks the grass is always greener. And I don't like where it's headed. And all over the state it's happening, too. It's not just Marion County.
Do you think this trend will continue into next few years?
I do. Unfortunately, until the state, puts their foot down and says, we got to do something about this, because, again, you cannot build a program from your youth up, because, parents, and unfortunately some of our coaches, are out there trying to scavenge and try to pull kids away. And
they see talent. They want the talent.
Exactly, and it's just not the right thing to do. And we take pride in that we're not going to go out and we're not going to talk to other kids from other schools.
Right.
We're not going to try to do that. We want to promote our kids, because we want our kids to know that we're loyal to them also.
So the love goes from the coaches to the students on the football field, as well as the students to the coaches. Am I right over at Forest?
Absolutely. We end practice every day with two questions I ask the kids. Number one, I ask them, what's the job of the coaches? And their reply is simply to love us. And then I ask them, what's your job? And they say to love our teammates. And that's what we're building on.
So obviously, your coaching philosophy, what I've witness, I go to Forest, I talk to the kids that you coach.
Right.
And some of the seniors that weren't really getting looked at by colleges are now getting offers because you're opening up the doors for them.
Right.
Could you say that your coaching philosophy is to get your students to the next level?
Well, that's part of what we're doing. And it is part. It's not the biggest part, but it is an important part to what we do at Forest. We open up doors. We go out. We talk with coaches. We make phone calls. We go to recruiting fairs. And what I tell the kids is that if you do your job in the classroom, and if you do your job on the field, we're going to give you guys opportunities.
Stress the importance in the classroom.
In the classroom, absolutely, because if you have good grades, there is a place in the United States for you. And I don't care what talent level you are, there's a place that we'll find for you.
All right. Now, to bring it on a better level right here, something a little a little less heavy.
Yes.
Which game on the schedule are you looking forward to the most next season?
Josh, I'm going to be honest with you, man. We look at it one day at a time.
Hey, there you go.
And I know that's an old cliche, and but to be honest with you, we talk with our players about win today. We don't worry about tomorrow. We just want to go out and win today, no matter if it's in the weight room, if it's at practice, if it's in the classroom. Whatever we do, we're going to compete, and we're just going to win today, and we'll let tomorrow take care of itself.
Coach Austin, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you for being on the show. That's all I have for you, Tom Schmitz. Hey, Tom, can I sign off today? I've never done it before.
No.
No? Not today?
No.
All right, I tried, Sean. See that? I tried.
No.
Got shot down.
Coach Austin, thanks so much for joining us. Josh, as always, great job on the high school athletic spotlight. We're going to take a break on Buddy's sports page on the Community Gazette at Gateway Bank. I should have let you sign out, I guess.
There you go.
Next time we come back on the air after the break, Buddy Martin rejoins us with Joe Williams of Mile High Sports on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Recently, I had a great conversation with General Manager Pat Murray on the special events at Country Club of Ocala.
We have a lot of special events here that are geared towards the family. Easter comes to mind. We have an Easter bunny who hops around on the driving range. We usually hide somewhere in a neighborhood of 3,000 eggs and turn them loose and let them go harvest the eggs. We have a great family celebration here on the 4th of July where it's a traditional cookout, if you will. And as the sun goes down, the driving range becomes alive with probably one of the better fireworks displays in the area. Breakfast with Santa is a big deal.
Country Club of Ocala, where the Easter Bunny, Santa, and all the children, large and small, are a big deal on every special occasion. For more information, call 352-237-6644. That's 352-237-6644. Country Club of Ocala, proud sponsor of the Bundy Gator Report, right here on The Source.
Hi, this is Lisa Midget, owner of Kinetic Motion Fitness here in Ocala, Florida. A lot of you have experienced our great classes in personal small group training, but did you know we now offer dynamic workouts on DVD? These high-quality, locally produced, effective DVD workouts can go where you go. Going on vacation? No problem. We can go with you. Friends and relatives out of town who are jealous that you get to come to KMF? No problem. We ship anywhere in the United States for free. Our great lineup of 4 DVDs includes Kinetic Achieve, Kinetic Couples, Kinetic Core, and Kinetic Campus. 4 great workouts for the entire family on DVD. Sound interesting? Check them out on our website at kmfocala.com. While you're there, check out our class schedule and come see us. We're only 5 minutes from downtown across from the Skylark Plaza. Visit kmfocala.com and like us on Facebook. KMF will get you results at our studio or at home with one of our DVDs. Kinetic Motion Fitness. We're ready when you are. Visit kmfocala.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Russ with Climate Control Mechanical Services, and I want to invite you to tune in every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. to listen for tips and answers to the many questions you may have about your air conditioning and heating for your home or business. The Climate Control Show, every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. right here on WOCA, 1370 a.m. and 96.3 FM, The Source.
This is Don with ABC Frederick's Appliance. Here's my daughter, Lena.
And hey everybody, it's Lena. You need to come down to ABC Frederick's Appliance on County Road 25, just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue, where you are treated right with the right products like Whirlpool, Maytag, Crosley, and Speed Queen. These are the new ones. Don't forget, we also carry used appliances that we warranty. ABC Frederick's Appliance does repairs too. Call us at 629-5181. ABC Frederick's Appliance on County Road 25, just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue. It's at 629-5181.
Hello all, Joe Martone here for Karaoke Time. You hear me each morning for the segment of Fun with Joe? Well, fun is what I do. So the next time you want to have a get-together, for just about any reason, give me a call. 470-0276 for Karaoke Time. That number is 470-0276. Everybody likes to sing, and with the words on the screen, it's just that much easier. Call Karaoke Time, 470-0276 for the next event, big or small. Karaoke Time can keep the fun in your business, too.
Stay informed on everything going on in the villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Black train, making you wonder if the ride is worth the pain. He's just waiting on your heart to say.
All right, welcome back to the final segment here on a Friday. Boy, it feels good to be Friday. And a little bit of R&R this weekend. We got hoops, obviously. Game 2 coming up between the Heat and the Spurs. And a lot of folks wrote the Spurs off because of their age, and I understand that. Tim Duncan, 37 years old. Ginobili he's on the back nine. They actually played number 17 and 18. But boy, I tell you, they got such terrific guard play going by Tony Parker right now, and they got some good role players as well. And I got to tell you, I'm so impressed with Greg Popovich. I enjoyed hearing the interviews today and listening to some of the things that Tim Duncan was talking about, that Parker was talking about, and Popovich was talking about. And PJ Carlissimo, who does now NBA analysis for ESPN, he coached with him, of course, Popovich, and he said that Popovich believes in letting the players talk. And if you noticed last night, JJ,
Tony Parker was the coach.
He got in the huddle, and someone asked him, what was Parker doing there? He says, well, what happens is sometimes things won't go right. And he says, and Pop will say, I got nothing to say. You guys work it out. And so Parker got in the middle. Now, this is a new role for him. Parker was a little bit, and I heard Parker talk about this in his interview today. Look, when I got here, I was a kid. I was 19 or 20. Obviously, I had a lot of respect for this franchise.
He was French.
Pop, he was French. He said, obviously, Duncan was special. And I said, this was his team. It was not my place. So I just kind of kept my mouth closed. But he said that what happened in 2010, when Parker was playing on the international team, Popovich saw him play and saw he was vocal, he was leading, he was moving guys around. And Popovich told him at the tournament, that's how I want you to play for the San Antonio Spurs. He changed his game completely last year, the year before, to become a leader on the floor. And actually, it's still Tim Duncan's team, they say. But the fact is, it's more and more Tony Parker's team, because not only can he lead, but when the game is on the line, guess who gets the ball?
Exactly. Tony Parker. He's like the Jason Kidd. When Jason Kidd was back going to the finals with, the Nets, he was such a great leader. Right? He was coaching on the bench. That's what Tony Parker looks like now.
Parker's biggest problem was he was a little bit too unselfish. And just like a lot of great, like Duncan. I mean, Popovich said the problem with Duncan was if he missed 2 or 3 shots, he'd quit shooting. And he said, don't quit shooting,
I think that's LeBron's problem. Last night, he had 16 shots. I don't think there's going to be another game in this series where LeBron has less than 20 shots. He's going to have to put on that Cleveland jersey, like he said last series, and go for it.
I agree. And I was really interested in hearing his coach when he was a kid. The one I told you about, his name was Walker. Last I can't remember his name, in Akron. How he took him on in the 5th grade and coached him. And he said, "I coached LeBron from day one to play all 5 positions, to share the basketball, et cetera, et cetera." What does he do today? The very same blueprint he has, and of course he shares the basketball to a fault. And as the old saying goes, some days he's Michael Jordan, some days he is Magic Johnson, and he needs to be a little more Michael Jordan, because you don't want to have Chris Bosh shooting those jump shots in the 3-point line, and you don't want to what you're getting in Dwayne Wade. You just don't know, and you can't count on Mike Miller everywhere.
No, and Popovich is running a perfect defense. Every time LeBron touches the ball, they instantly turn into a zone defense.
They do. You're right.
They're totally shutting LeBron down and not worrying about anybody else on the court.
Right, which means LeBron's going to have to shoot the 3 some more,
Yes, he's going to have to take a lot more shots.
And then he's going to have to find a way to cut across that zone and get the ball to the hoop. And that's why they're not.
This is going to be tough, man.
That's what's keeping them from getting to the basket. They're protecting Duncan.
Exactly.
With that zone. And so, therefore, that's why they haven't. They got to get the ball to the rim. Certainly Wade and LeBron do, to get the ball to the rim, to wear him down. Because, listen, this is just game 1. It's a long series. By game 3 or 4, Tim Duncan's going to be a little more weary than he is right now.
You never know. I mean, Miami did have a long series, but they're still a lot more younger than them. I don't know. Definitely Miami's not going to win in 5 like I thought they were. But, actually, history's on their side. Like I said, they've been down 1 game in 4 of, including this one, in 4 of the series since LeBron's been there, and they've actually swept the rest of the games in all 3 of them. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. This is a better Spurs team than the rest of those. But it happened in the finals last year against OKC. Happened in Chicago this year. We'll see what happens. But LeBron's just having to do everything. 18 rebounds last night.
Put up triple-double.
Miami's having trouble even getting rebounds down low. Second chance opportunities are all over the place for the Spurs. And so LeBron's having to go down low, get 18 rebounds, 10 assists. But he's got to shoot the ball more. That's the only way they can win.
Exactly. So we'll talk more about that, obviously, down along the way. But I think it's going to be a good series. I've really enjoyed the NBA this year, and it's been a long season. Time to shift gears and talk a little bit about football and the college game. The interview news today out of Mississippi State, apparently they did get hit with that 2-year probation. Although, from what I'm hearing, the penalties were not all that bad. Some people are calling it a slap on the wrist. They are losing scholarships, and there's a list of infractions and things here they have to do, including disassociation from a booster. There you go again, one of those boosters. And they can't have certain recruits at certain games, et cetera, et cetera. And it looks like there's a few little difficulties there for them, but nothing really serious, although they did lose some scholarships. I'm not really sure how many, nor am I really sure what the infraction was. But nonetheless, that coming down. I thought this story was kind of interesting. Nick Saban apparently selling his Georgia home at Lake Burton, said fans could register online to win ticket packages. All right, in addition to the house, the game tickets and other perks will be sold to the highest bidder for the sale of Saban's home. Initially priced at, you ready, $11 million. All proceeds will go to Nick's kids, according to his charity. But Saban and others have made donations to the nonprofit fund, which provide more than $1 million for relief work, the tornado in Tuscaloosa, and on and on and on. Anyway, this thing goes on. And one of the deals, and another deal that he put together, the Saban's offering actually sideline passes, access to the coaches. Boy, what you can do for a special situation if you're Nick Saban. I think we got Joe Williams now. Joe, how are you?
How you doing, fellas?
Good. Sorry we missed you there earlier. I just want to get your take real quick before we get out of time. On the George Karl situation, how do you go from NBA Coach of the Year to fired?
Well, they got in the playoffs all 9 years he was here, and they only advanced past the first round one time. And I think they weren't pleased with how much money they were paying JaVale McGee. George did not want to play him for good reason, because he's not really ready to play, but I think the Nuggets wanted him to they want a little bit more return on their money. And I just think that, in sports, I think it's pretty much bottom line, especially in the pros. And they're a 3 seed this year, got beat by a 6 seed. And Josh Kroenke, he's the president of the club. His mother is a Walmart heiress. His father is rich in his own right. And they can do whatever they want to do. And I think they got tired of George Karl, and they're going to run the club. They're going to do it the way they want to do it.
Do you agree with that, Joe?
I do.
Really? Thought you were a Karl man.
I like George. I'm a bottom-line guy. As we like to say, we run a results-oriented program.
Okay. You're a hard man, Joe. You really are a hard man.
No, just results-oriented. Sometimes that means you may hear things that you don't necessarily want to hear.
Like, how about this?
The Broncos with Peyton Manning, they're in their OTAs now, and Peyton was talking about last week how they were working on their 2-minute drills, and they put some new stuff in there. And they were really pleased with the way it was going and the way some of the young guys were picking it up. And my observation was at least they don't have to work on taking a knee. They've got that down pat.
We got 30 seconds to give me your assessment of the game last night. How good was the shot by Tony Parker?
Well, that's a great shot. LeBron nearly got his hand on it, and but that's a well-played basketball game. Not very many turnovers. That's championship-level basketball. I don't have a dog in the hunt. I liked it, and I think it's a 7-game series.
Joe, Tony Parker kind of reminded you when you played at Hardin-Simmons.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
You have a great weekend, Hitman, and thanks for being on the program. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, fellas. See ya.
All right, Joe Williams for the Mile High Sports out in Colorado. You can see, JJ, why I had so much fun for all those years doing Talk with Joe.
Oh, man.
I'd
love to work with Joe.
He's a piece of work, I'm telling you what. A lot of fun. He's a great sports fan and probably as knowledgeable on college football as anybody around. He really knows his stuff, except when it comes to picks.
And you don't think about Colorado being a hotbed for college football.
Well, but that doesn't matter. Joe's from Texas originally. Okay. So But it's
And
not
that
a hotbed.
explains
Yeah,
it.
he always loved college football, and he is. He'll have to remind him, however, who won the picks last year. All right, I want to thank our guest today, Steve Serra from the Paddock Mall. Gerald Ergel joined us over at Gateway Bank. Also, our coach from Horace High School,
Austin.
Coach Austin, Skip Austin. And, of course, Joe Williams from Mile High Sports. On behalf of JJ, Tom, and the gang, I'm Buddy Martin. Have a great weekend.
Hi, this is Tom Schmitz, the host of Buddy's Saturday Sports Page on WOCA. The Saturday Sports Page is your weekend destination for everything sports, from NASCAR to golf, baseball to boxing, and of course the best, most comprehensive football coverage on the radio. Also, you don't want to miss my weekly Are You Kidding Me rant? So join me and JJ LaSalva every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for Buddy's Saturday Sports Page on WOCA, The Source.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin. I want to tell you about a conversation I had recently with General Manager Pat Murray on the great family atmosphere at Country Club of Ocala.
It's a family-first club. Again, we have any number of different types of memberships, but